Hello, very good morning to you. You're welcome to The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We are on Channel 1 television, of course, and on our socials on YouTube. Very welcome to the program. I am Selom Adunu. Three key issues we have this morning. The first one has to do with the emergence of a third force or a supposed third force. The Alan Kyerematen's movement for change has now transitioned to a full-blown political party. They call it the United Party Plus, or UP Plus for short. The question is, are they in a position to reshape Ghana's political landscape? We've seen many political parties come up in the past like this one, but in the end, they've not been very successful. We've seen the Reform, we've seen the UGM, we've seen the DFP, and we've seen many others. They last barely for one election cycle. It's a story for the UP Plus, led by Alan Kyerematen, with a few of the creme de la creme of the MPP moving to the movement for change and now the UP Plus. Will it be different? How do they hope to reshape the political landscape of Ghana? Mind you, in the Fourth Republic, it's been just NDC and MPP, and any attempt to have a lasting third force has not been successful. What has really happened is an obliteration of the other parties which were strong in the past, the CPP and the PNC. We saw in the last election the new force led by Bediako. That also didn't do well. Papa Kwesindu's PPP touted itself as a third force in Ghana's politics. That also hasn't been very good. What will make the UP Plus, led by Alan Kyerematen, a stalwart by any measure, different? This is a matter we're looking at this morning. Also, the Gold Board says that some $8 billion is being accrued to it in the last couple of months since the beginning of the year. That looks like a lot of work they've done. It looks like some good thing happening there. Of course, others have said you cannot attribute that to only the Gold Board, but we'll look at that discussion. The question is, are we prioritizing profit over environmental protection? The issue about Galamsey is still front and center of public discourse. The situation doesn't really appearing to be better. What should the focus or the priority of the country lie? Money or environmental protection? They are both important for the future. Or can we strike a balance? We will discuss that as well. Also, there's been some discussion on the telco front, the sale of AT Ghana. The minister announced that there's been some issues with AT Ghana, Airtel Tigo in the past. Initially, Airtel and Tigo, they came together to form the AT. They've had some difficulties, now fully owned by Ghana. And then Telesell. AT owed ATC some huge amount of money, and eventually their sites or towers or cell sites were shut down. We understand that the NCA government approached Telesell to provide roaming services for them so that if you're on AT, you can still make calls. You wouldn't know, but technically, it will not be AT dealing with your calls. It will be Telesell. This is the situation now. And so it does appear that some merger of a kind has taken place. The minority in Parliament has hit so hard and said that the deal appears very opaque. It's not transparent, and they don't know what the minister is hiding. The deal must come to Parliament and all of that. Telesell says no, there's been no such discussion yet. KPMG has been commissioned by the ministry to advise on the way forward for AT. And like all sector players, they are also watching to see what KPMG will come up with. This is the discussion we will look at as well later in the show. The show is live and interactive. You can join us via our WhatsApp line 0204447033, displayed right on your screen, or 0549-986-996, and we'll be happy to read out your comments to the rest of the world. I'll take a short break. When I return, I will introduce my guests, provide you some updates, and we'll hit the discussion running. This is The Big Issue. You are welcome. You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. I am Salom Adonu. Three key issues we're looking at. A new third force movement in Ghana appears to be emerging. The Alan Kyerematen movement for change has now transitioned to a political party. They were granted provisional certificates by the Electoral Commission some weeks ago, and they launched officially this week as a new political party. They are called the UP Plus, United Party Plus. The name United Party appears to be ruffling some shoulders, some feathers in some corners, with threats of suits, etc. That the name UP is part of the MPP's history. And if you have said you've left the MPP, you should leave the party and leave it to those who want to stay. You don't leave and take parts of it away. Because the UP, the United Party, appears, or is actually the way the NPP of today started in the past. And by adopting the name UP, the MPP of today thinks that it is disingenuous, it is to confuse the base, and is to take away something from the MPP. They are threatening a lawsuit. We will see how that goes. Also, the gold board is raked in some $8 billion, and we're asking whether it is profit over environmental protection. The money is good, environmental protection is also good. Can there be a balance? Can we attribute this to the worsening situation of Galamsey? Do they buy gold from the Galamseyers, or they buy gold only from the legal small-scale miners? Of course, the chief executive of that company has been at pains to explain that they do not buy gold from Galamseyers, even though the president a couple of weeks said that the Galamseyers too bring the gold, so they may as well buy it as well. But we will look at all of that. But the chief executive has been at pains explaining that they do not buy gold from illegal people. Finally, we'll look at the AT Telesell marriage or courtship, however you want to look at it. Minority says that the deal is not transparent and that it is shrouded in secrecy. The government says no. Telesell also says there's been nothing like that yet. They are all waiting for KPMG's report. They were only asked to provide roaming services for 80 so that the customers can continue to have data services and make voice calls. So that's what we have today on our table. Now, just to provide you some updates, the political movement founded by Alan Kyerematen, formerly known as the Movement for Change, has officially rebranded as the United Party Plus. The group emerged following Kyerematen's resignation from the New Patriotic Party in 2023, citing internal conflicts and what he described as unfair treatment within the party. The rebranding is part of a broader strategy to expand its national reach ahead of the 2028 general elections. Let's hear Alan Kyerematen on the reasons for the rebranding.
We're all sitting, waiting to hear the results, and people calling from all over the country. Hey, Maza, Major Police Station, you told about your can't hear, you see a zero. Until you made me to you and a coin. Where did the votes go to? Movement for Change. Those fighting for our T-shirts. When you count them, is that the number that you get? So we'll not talk about it now. At an appropriate time, we'll let the people know. But this is just to let you appreciate that our predecessor, which is the Movement for Change, has already opened the path for success for the United Party. And as the Interim General Secretary said, that is why we have maintained our logo as the monarch butterfly, because it symbolizes transformation, resilience, and endurance. So if somebody was just laughing at the symbol that, oh, as for 3 weeks, they will die. They've forgotten about the transformation, that you'll be transformed from the movement to the United Party. Is that not? Is it not transformation? And it is talking about resilience. What we are doing, is it not showing resilience and endurance? So don't joke with the butterfly.
Chairman of the party and former member of the MPP, Alhaji Abubakar Sadiq Boniface, has taken a swipe at the MPP over its decision to grant amnesty for members who were suspended.
We have come together that the rejected stone will always become what? Cornerstone of the foundation. We were sacked, but today they claim they are giving us amnesty. What does amnesty mean? What crime has our new leader committed? What crime did I commit in MPP for you to sack me? And today you are telling me you are giving me amnesty. No way. No way. When you divorce in Islam, when you divorce a woman 3 times, she's no longer your wife till thy kingdom comes.
All right, so that was Abubakar Sadiq, interim chairman of the party, speaking there, responding to their supposed suspension from the MPP. They said it was a constructive dismissal also, that they went to support a different candidate apart from the party's candidate, and that by constitutional provisions of the MPP, they had sacked themselves, as it were. So that's where we are. Now they are UP plus people, and that's the interim chairman. We have the interim general secretary in the studio today, in the person of the Venerable Yabobia Samoa Esquire. Yeah, it's been a long time. Happy to have you. First time speaking this year.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I'm following your footsteps. I mean, movement for change transitioning, so we're also transitioning. We have Richard Ahiagba, Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, is in the studio. Professor Titus Bayu is Member of Parliament for Lambusi, also Board Chair for the Kolibu Teaching Hospital. It's also here. We'll be joined by Senyo Hosi, Convener, One Ghana Movement, and Paladomo Host Good Evening Ghana, and is an author of the 77 stories that define Ghana's fourth republic, and also, of course, Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa. These are my guests this morning. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program. I started with you, Interim General Secretary Aboda Samoa. We thought the movement for change was going to continue as a movement. Why was it important to become a proper political party?
Very well. First of all, we are officially the United Party.
United Party.
Yes.
Okay.
The plus is just something that's happened to have been tacked on by people who are excited.
Okay, great.
Yes. So we are the United Party, UP.
UP.
Some say plus, some say 2.0.
Okay, UP 2.0,
UP 2.0. Yes, but
UP Pro Max.
Indeed, it's a necessary path. The transition is a necessary path because 2 opportunities opened up. The movement at the time, we couldn't have established a political party within the time frame that we had before the election. So it was a very convenient vehicle because it also allows you under the rules to compete. And we managed to do so. However, after the election, lessons learned were that without a formal structure, a movement is made up of volunteers. From the candidates right down to the last person, we are all volunteers. And that nebulous form doesn't help in advancing the interests of what we're all seeking. So we then decided, and it wasn't even the leadership who decided, the members, the supporters, drove us forward. That look, this is an opening, this is exciting, this is an opportunity to get rid of the status quo, and so go ahead and formalize. Because once we formalize, we'll become competitive. So it is not a mere rebrand. It is actually a movement into a transition under law. Because we have to conform to certain basic requirements of the Electoral Commission in terms of structure and certain benchmarks that you have to meet. So the last time, what we did was to announce the receipt of our provisional certificate, which, for Judicial, I was just being told by Prof this morning, I didn't realize it, happened to have been issued on 3rd October. And that goes to 3rd October, which was the formation of the UP, 3rd October 1957. And we got ours on 3rd October 2025. I didn't even realize how fortuitous the date was. But yes, we got our provisional certificate. So now the next steps are to fully establish the structures of the party. And that process is in rollout. We are working at it.
I see. That's interesting. So, I mean, you mentioned the UP tradition, or the UP party of old. The UP was formed by an amalgamation of like-minded political parties, hence the name United Party. We are the National Liberation Movement, the Muslim Association Party, the Togoland Congress, the Gashifimokpe, the Anglo Youth Association. All these parties came together, and the Northern People's Party, yes, which also was called MPP, but Northern People's Party. All these parties came together to form the UP today. That's why the MPP, if you might have heard, sections of the MPP are unhappy with the change of name. So what is the structure? What is the structure you have now? We will get into the MPP's unhappiness with you, but what is the structure you have now?
It is not true that those parties were like-minded.
They were not.
They are absolutely different. In fact, some of them broke away immediately afterwards and entered the CPP, some became independent and all that. Let us make it very clear. It is not true. They were compelled. The Northern People's Party then had a different agenda. It was led by traditional chiefs from the north who wanted to improve the area for their subjects. The Muslim Association Party was interested in religious matters. NLM was interested in controlling its area of jurisdiction, governance-wise, federalism, as well as promoting private sector, cocoa farmers, and all that. Gashifimokpe was interested in youth involvement in politics. Everybody had a different agenda. But then, Kwame Nkrumah, assuming and sensing an opportunity to suppress the others and take full control, passed the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, saying that any party formed on sectional grounds, tribal, religious, ethnic, what have you, would have to be proscribed. So they were compelled to come together to survive. So it was a matter of political survival. But the benefit that came out of it was that in doing so, they preserved political freedoms. Freedoms we take for granted today. The right to association. By coming together, they guarantee that they remain in parliament as a group. The right to free speech, the right to movement. These are rights that are enshrined in the Constitution and that we take for granted. But they were not rights then, recognized politically, not even at the international level, because in a sense, this was the Parliament of Ghana who were now trying to ensure that we establish all the rights that all parties can benefit from. So when they were compelled to come together, they needed to survive politically. They were not like-minded. I'm telling you because the MPP assumes that they were one party and they were MPP. They were not MPP. And they were not today's MPP.
They were united.
They were uniting
in purpose for survival.
Political survival. And in the process, they established some very important rights, political rights, plus the right to decentralization, local government, decision-making, and also the notion of private sector growth. These are claims that we, the current UP, ascribe to. But more importantly, you asked for our structure. We are an emergent force, but we are not the sole third force. This is the difference. This is what will shock the duopoly. We are not coming in as Alan Kyerematen's United Party, third force. No. It's not Alan Kyerematen's. This is a party that is going to galvanize opinion around a problem, the economy. Just like Nkrumah tried to suppress them around politics. Now we believe that there's consensus that something must happen around the economy. Because neither of the two is been able to progress us in the economic area to this point. So we are offering, we are a centrist party. We've evolved from the conservative right, which was the old UP, to a centrist party. Centrist parties compromise both sides, left, right. Centrist parties are pragmatic. We follow workable policies. So now you find that in Ghana and most of the third world, our policies platforms are basically Bretton Woods driven. We are dictated to. But then within that context, ideology doesn't work too well. So we are best positioned to mobilize Ghanaian talent across board, all sides, get Ghanaians to invest their thinking, and then develop things that are Ghana-centric, leveraging Ghanaian assets in order to benefit Ghanaians. So we expect to bring together many of the smaller parties. So we have two paths for sustainability. Those who think that we are not here to stay. The difference between us and the previous, we are very conscious of the previous parties who have come out and disappeared in the Fourth Republic. We have two paths. The first path is the necessity of economic revival and growth. And many are worried about that. So we expect to bring those people on board. Other political parties, other political entities, individuals who are politically connected, people who want to advance the economy. We will find accommodation either within the UP as an institution or in partnerships that will grow a genuine third force that can overthrow the duopoly. That's one. The second path is constitutional reform. This duopoly has inadvertently, unfortunately for us, been strengthened by the Fourth Republican Constitution structure, specifically Article 63, 4, and 5. Article 63 it used to be in the 79 Constitution, but you realize that none of these so-called dominant parties has total control over voter sentiment. There are often runoffs.
Yes.
Much more than one would assume. So we accept that none of these two dominant parties has a grip. But how come they always in power? Because when there is a runoff, they mobilize smaller parties, get them to help, and then they go into power and abandon the smaller parties and empower themselves in government. And it is because of Article 63.4, which demands the runoff. So we are saying on the constitutional path, and we submitted
some proposals to the
proposals. We are saying that 63, 4, and 5, requiring the runoff, should be done away with.
So what do we do?
So now, if on the first run, a party makes 50 plus 1, they are home and dry. If they don't, the smaller parties that they would have used as horses to get past 50 plus 1, they should cobble them together and go into government with them as governing partners. Coalition governments. That is inclusive. That brings aboard as much talent as you can, and that will empower the small parties.
But how would that work? I mean, not to digress.
But how does the runoff work?
Political parties may say that smaller political parties may say, okay, we will not tell you where to go. Our members will not direct you on which party to support. Support whichever party you want.
No,
so, for example,
that is a runoff scenario.
Yeah. So you have a situation
we are moving
where,
beyond the runoff
example,
scenario.
You have a situation where PNC, for example, its leadership tells its members, go belong where you want to.
Because it's a runoff scenario.
NDC, some go to MPP.
Because it's a runoff scenario.
Yeah, so you are saying that all the opposition, all the parties, the smaller parties must go into government.
So let me give you an example. We finished the election, and Party A is in the lead, 48%. Party B is behind, 46%. There is a need for runoff under the current rules. So then they will approach smaller parties who, as you are saying, would then say, okay, we are the leadership, go where you like. But inevitably, they are involved. Their supporters are involved. So one of the parties, perhaps the one who is edging ahead, and maybe has a majority in parliament, then has a clear run and goes through. Good. Now we are saying that if you get 48%, you fall in short. So bring together as many parties on the small side who also participated in the election and have percentages that if you add to your 48%, will get you past 50 plus 1.
Okay. So if they don't want to join, then they don't get to the part of the coalition.
It's not a blanket opportunity for smaller parties who haven't participated in the election. You must have participated in the election and received...
And agreed to join them from the coalition
and received a portion of the vote, because it is that portion of your vote, that percentage of your vote, that will make you viable to add to the coalition. Because your percentage will be added to the 48 that the first party
I think that's clear.
You understand?
That's clear. Great.
So coalition governments are normal. South Africa, the biggest example of
a coalition
recent coalition. This is the DP, the party that was supposed to be
the Democratic
a pariah,
Party,
ostracized because of apartheid. And ANC, through,
on the other side.
Unfortunately, I have to say, misgovernance and otherwise, has dropped its supermajority all the way to the point where they were forced to go into alliance with DP in order to govern the country. It happens. In Europe,
We've
it
seen
happens
it in the
all
UK,
the while.
Everywhere
it happens. Yes. So there is no danger. And in fact, where we are now, there is no safety in the duopoly. Because the duopoly have become a revolving door. They don't care. They believe that...
So you just want an opportunity to legally and properly participate in the governance of the state?
For as many people as possible. Inclusiveness. One of our inclusiveness and integrity. We are not just going to participate because we want to participate. We want to bring in a different quality. Quality
so not necessarily to be president or to, if the opportunity comes, yes.
Want to be inclusive.
But in the meantime,
if somebody makes 48% and we make 3%, and you want to go into government with us, and we sit down, you decide that we could be better president. If you give it to us, we will take it.
Very well. All right, nice. Richard, good to have you again. It's a pleasure always. Yes, so this is a logical step they've taken from a movement, independent presidential candidate in the last election, to a political party. A lot of people were hoping that the Alan Kyerematen stock that left the party because of disagreements, they called it internal conflicts and etc., would come back. Of course, your team said they were granting them amnesty, and that was obviously in the hopes of getting them back. Now that they formed a political party, it appears that they are gone. How is the party taking that? Is the party concerned that they are once upon a time people and very influential people have now gone and they've gone forever? Or you don't just care? It's a game of numbers.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to Prof. and
The former boss.
my boss and my senior, somebody I love dearly. And it's a tragedy that he's not coming home and has decided to wallow in a political wilderness with his fanciful idea of a UP party. I think that, having listened to my senior, I don't think that there's anything for the New Patriotic Party to be worried about. That a party is being created, at least provisionally so, and they are moving forward to become a full-fledged political party, and that they are called UP. The NPP should not worry, based on the explanation my brother has given. The bulk of the forming of the UP tradition brought about by Nkrumah's dictatorial tendencies back then to silence multi-party democracy in Ghana effectively ended it. The party that resulted in the UP party is not what they have formed. They say they have formed a centrist party. The values that define the UP tradition is not what they are claiming. So technically, it's a name, is your name Selom, but it's Selom who does not host the big issue. That's it, really. So really, there's nothing to fight about. And I think that nobody should worry about that. In fact, the New Patriotic Party, we haven't sat to arrive at a situation to say that we are going to court or we are chasing them here and there. That's, if anybody said that, is their opinion. But having listened to the secretary, the interim secretary, it is not our tradition they are carrying on, which then raises question to say that what exactly are they about? Okay, this is their centrist idea that they are pushing. What is it? What is the grounding? What is the catalyst leading them to do that? Now they can have their own explanation, but it is not our UP, which is the antecedent of the New Patriotic Party. That's not what they have. So anybody who is an NPP person should not worry about what they have formed, call it UP. You can't form another party. Before the New Patriotic Party, there was NPP, which is the Northern People's Party. So you can have a name. So for me, it's not a name that matters. The people who are behind the name, their motive, and what is their galvanizing idea.
The people who are behind the name are people we identified with the MPP of old, or the MPP of today. And if they are coming with a name we historically associate with the MPP, that could mean that they are taking some of your people
Alhaji Abubakar,
Siddiq,
who was just saying that if you divorce your wife forever 3 times, is divorced.
Gone, yeah.
So what doesn't matter that he used to be your wife, but once he's divorced, which is okay, he's gone. So they used to be with us, and then they are gone. They're gone. And there's nothing that binds them. There's nothing that says that they have gone with a better soul. And what he's talking about here just tells you that they have left the liberal conservative idea. They are now centrist politicians. So there is no connection between us and them anymore.
But I mean, that's
I'm just saying,
just an ideology. I mean,
yes, of course, political party is all about ideology.
But you can't tell me that, you know, the MPP is a purist in terms of political ideology. We've seen the MPP do a lot of things which ordinarily should have been done by parties on the left than on the right or centrist parties. And so to say the MPP is a purist in terms of
nobody is arguing that. I'm not even saying.
So it appears everybody is now moving towards the center.
No.
That's what it is. Really.
No. You move toward a center anchoring at your ideological position.
So what's the point?
So what I'm just telling you is that when you are hold on.
Yes.
There is not a binary situation when it comes to an ideology. Otherwise, you would have a leftist party or center of left party, okay, move extremely, or right of center party move extremely and change position like that. It's not an oscillation situation. You anchor your ideology, but time determines that you move, okay, in a certain way to be able to meet certain policy demands. So it is not a wholesale shift, but it's a contingent policy gravitation
So let me
moves.
give you
But hold on. What Basilia has said clearly, without a doubt, is that they are a centrist party.
It's pragmatic.
No, yes.
They are pragmatists.
So, which is a centrist party. Yes. There is no if and buts about it. Hold on.
I do interrupt you a lot.
Yes,
but I love it actually.
So the point I am making is that now you take the 3 positions. The NDC on the left, as you can assume, of course, we are center, left or right of center.
Yeah.
But they are saying that classically they are in the center. Because they have seen on the left and on the right, the duopoly is occupying that position. Okay, the NDC oftentimes will come to the right a little bit with their market policies and the rest of it. NPP will come a bit to the center, advancing a little bit of socialist ideas in terms of promoting the welfare of the population. Now they are saying that they are occupying the middle. They want to be pragmatic about things, so they are not held by any left or right policies.
But we have specific
hold on. So you have to pick your moment and what you want to be. You cannot be one thing.
We already know who we are.
You say you are centrist.
We know who we are.
Yes. So I'm just trying to let you know what you have chosen to be is lawyer Boabia Samoa. You cannot be Richard tomorrow.
But we are not Richard tomorrow. We are Boabia Samoa. I'm trying to tell you who we are. You don't misdirect yourself.
So in your own words, you say you are a centrist.
And what are the elements of that centrism? You haven't listened.
Okay, no.
You don't know the elements of our centrism.
But you see, these things are baked in. Okay. You are not going to define centrism.
But what's the point really?
But the point
do they matter?
No, it does matter.
Do they matter?
Yes,
like bread and butter issues. How do these things put bread on our table? How do they ensure that we live well?
The reason you have brought this subject for conversation is because, and how you framed the question to me was whether or not the MPP is worried. And I want to be very clear in saying that we have no business to be worried because they are not claiming our heritage, which would have been the UP that we results from, right? Okay, and then later on Progress Party. But they said they are a centrist party. They are essentially using the name UP. As I made an example to you, somebody say my name is Selom, okay, but it's Selom, all right, but it's not the same Selom that hosts the show. So they can take Selom all they want. It has nothing to do with you. And so therefore you don't have to worry about it. When you come here, this seat is reserved for you. But if another person shows up here and
says somebody says it's Selom Adonu.
Yes, he can say that. But when he shows up here, your people will not recognize him to be the one to sit in this chair. You can take that name. but it's not the Selom who hosts the show.
But
so the
others-
point
others
I am
may think-
making,
Others may think it's the same Selom. How
but
about
that's the others who are ignorant, but others who have come to
and they
know.
have the same power.
No, they don't. Because but when they come here, they have to allow him to come in.
No, I mean the external people.
So the point I am making is that their UP, it is not our UP.
I see.
It's a centrist party they have formed, essentially just using the name, which we don't have monopoly over. Okay, so they can use it. But the point here is that they don't share our values. They are not that party that used to be the UP from where we result. This knowledge has become available now based on the interim secretary saying so. So any MPP person who was worried about a UP being formed and so therefore was concerned that maybe that's our heritage they are claiming should go to rest because they are not the UP that is a liberal conservative party where we claim our heritage. So that's the point I want to make, that we
Great.
now have clarity. And the second point I want to make is that, so to the point of, well, Baisida referred to him as Alan's United Party. Okay.
I said it is not Alan's
No,
United
but you call it Alan's United
no,
Party.
He
I think
said,
it was making
and
a-
I was
it was making a
rebutting
point.
it.
Yes.
Don't put words.
No.
He said that, and I was
No,
rebutting
but I wrote that
Which
soon
is-
as soon as
yeah,
you
but
said
I
it.
didn't say
Okay,
Alan's
you and I will
United
can't quibble
Party.
about anything.
Please,
You and I will can't
please,
quibble.
don't go there.
No.
He said
So-
Alan's
Yes,
United
so I think
Party.
the point is made.
Yes,
I
it is
think the
rebutted.
point is
It
made.
is not Alan's
that,
Party.
I'm saying
Yes.
that we are not going to
It is
quibble about
a
anything.
United
Yes, so
Party.
Richard,
But
it's not
you
Alan's
take
party.
offense
I'm not
if
taking
if
offense.
I call it Alan's United Party.
Because you are
That
trying
is
to
my own
create a
verbiage.
pejorative
That's my own-
approach
But
to
will it be
assume
wrong
that
will it be
it's
wrong to
based
say
on one
Mohammed's
person.
NDC?
Because
will it
it's
be
right.
wrong to say Mohammed's NDC?
No,
Or-
he is in charge and he has that. We have opened a broad front.
It's
We are
okay,
going to
it's okay,
yes, we have
it's
opened a
okay,
broad
it's
front.
okay.
He's an interim leader. We are yet to establish the entire.
I thought that rather help the branding of the party.
Yeah,
and
but
help
yes,
followers
we all
because
know that. But
it's
you
a popular
can't
figure.
take off from get go and say
Right.
that it belongs to
But
Allah,
from
which is
get-go-
what he's trying to
Yes,
do.
just-
It's
just-
not
just
Allah
let me
in that
bring
sense.
it
You
up.
can't.
See, exactly.
You
But
can't.
from get-go, it is Alan who is the leader. It is Alan who was the leader.
Founder.
at
He's the
Afrafato.
face.
He's founder and interim leader.
Leader.
Okay,
Yes.
no problem.
So you can't say the party belongs in this
Of course.
Alan's
Oh, no,
party.
but
That's
we-
wrong.
we-
But
when we-
Alan's
that
party
is wrong.
Use advice
Yes.
at the end. It's for
Yes.
context.
Well, you can just use it as is.
Go ahead.
You can-
So
Go
let's
ahead.
go for it.
Go ahead,
Alan's
Richie.
United Party
Which
is
is
not
what you want to
it's
say.
not the
Go
same
ahead.
as the United Party
Of old.
That is an amalgam of political parties brought together by certain extenuating circumstance or difficulty in a time that decided to advance Ghana's multi-party democracy to ensure that multi-party democracy in Ghana did not die at the time when Nkrumah wanted to kill it. So we, the MPP, should not worry.
Yeah, don't worry. Great.
Motive for me is key. If there's any MPP person out there who's
No,
still...
we'll do a motive.
Okay.
We'll do a
All right, so
we'll
let
do
me just conclude. So the point is that we are clear in our minds that this UP, it is not our UP, it is Alan's United Party. That
Great.
is quite simply that.
All right, so we're joined by Paul Ademotri, host Good Evening Ghana, political commentator for a very long time, and is political historian and a whole lot. News reporter, I mean, for a long time, and he's done quite a few things. Prof, good to have you again.
Yeah.
This is not something ordinarily you should be worried about. This is something the MPP and the UP should be dealing with. But of course, you are in the political space, and so you obviously will be interested in what happens in the MPP and its allies or its friends or its former friends. How is the NDC viewing this transition of the movement of change to the UP?
All right, let me say a good morning to colleagues on the table, senior colleagues here, and good morning to our viewers. And let me just say a special good morning to some team of medical experts I saw yesterday at the International Maritime Hospital. They are celebrating the Pink Month in a very unique way, and I congratulate the CEO of the place, Dr. Anab, and his team. They should keep up the good work that they are doing at the International Maritime Hospital in Tema. On the subject matter, ordinarily, as you said, we wouldn't be worried. But let me start by congratulating our colleagues in the UP party now. on successfully launching their party, getting a provisional certificate to run as a political party. Every true Democrat should be excited that we have opportunity to have multi-party democracy to advance our democracy. We've been experimenting it for a while. We have tried different things in the past, attempted one-party state, it failed. Attempted parties that were based on tribal and religious grounds, which was very, very dangerous looking at what has happened in places like Rwanda, and then adopted this one. So if we have, as a nation, adopted a multi-party democracy, it will be in everybody's interest that political parties are birthed and then they grow and contribute to the democratic dispensation. I was a bit worried that they are founding it as a centrist party and then that it is based on, they are building the whole concept to tackle the economy. Then I ask myself, if we are able to maintain a very good economic trajectory like we have started now, we don't know what the future holds, but if the economy, all of us work together, we're able to turn it around, and it's no more a major issue, what happens?
There'll be nothing to talk about. There'll be nothing to
Then the
stand
party
for.
is smooth.
No, but we always want to improve,
So
they will present perhaps better alternatives
so
to improve the economy.
I will welcome them to bring their alternatives now, and we are an open party. Our leader, the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is willing to listen to everybody, and so they shouldn't wait till 2028 to put their ideas together and then come up. But anybody who has anything to contribute to the economy now, they are welcome.
For information, we give the GTP to President.
Yes, I am aware of
have
that.
already done that.
We are grateful.
Your call is behind time.
No,
The great transformation
no,
plan.
we know about that. But now they say they want to turn Ghana into a paradise. And I'm saying that whatever ideas, new ideas they have to turn into a paradise.
They should bring it to
When we call National Economic Forum for all of us to come together, they should bring all of that and then all of us to work together. We shouldn't have a state where at any point in time, half of our citizens are praying that the government will fail so that they can come in. It is what I wish we would not have. We should have a national development plan, agenda that we are all working towards, where we all contribute, so that we don't have this situation where I know what I want Ghana to be, I won't bring it to you, or I don't want to contribute it. When you fail, I will step in to take over. The other thing was that his explanation and the hope that they are trying to break the duopoly and go into a coalition system. Well, I'm sure because this is just a short television program.
Yeah,
It's rather,
that's a constitutional matter.
exactly.
So
It's a constitutional matter, and it's rather oversimplistic the way it's been presented. If you look at coalition governments across the world, they vary. You know, right where your absolute votes can determine the number of seats you have in parliament, or your number of seats in parliament can contribute to how much you contribute to the formation of the government. I mean, he's looking at it as where your absolute votes will lead you into being part of the government. Technically, what that means is that if you have two parties where one has 48 and the another has 46, and you can marshal the other parties together, and maybe they could help the one that's having 46 to cross 48. Technically, if you have 48 point something, someone have 47 point something, it's not necessarily the leading one. And in such democratic organizations, it has to be premised on a certain social structure, certain political structure. I know governments like in the Netherlands, they can go months without a central government, but all the systems are running because they are struggling to form a party. You go to Israel, you will have a similar thing where they are struggling to form a coalition. They can vote multiple times before they are able to come up with a coalition government. When the coalition government breaks down, what happens? I mean, it's not a bad idea to do away with the winner takes all, but we as a people will have to sit and decide what will work for us. Right from our local government level all the way to the central government. And we must put in place proper structures, governance structures, that allow all these negotiations to go on while systems are running, irrespective of the formation of the central government. So that without that, then it's a recipe for disaster. So it is something that will be looked at thoroughly by the Constitutional Review Committee, and I'm sure when it is brought up for all of us to discuss, we'll make inputs to it. My final take on it is that the name is interesting.
Yeah.
And I was asking him whether they looked into history, looked at the timing, because all the events appear to be happening in October.
Yeah.
The original UP was in October. Their formation is also in October. Dates just missing each other by a few days. I don't know what informs that. But if you look at the necessity that created the original UP, then you ask yourself, what is the necessity that has created us? Is it just a drive to contribute to governance? Is it that the fact that they just feel the duopoly is bad and we need to come in, we don't have any other means to come in? I'm not sure. They have a few questions they will have to answer for Ghanaians to buy in. But I would only want to congratulate them, wish them well, hope that they can be a formidable force. But for us in the NDC, I want to state it on record that we are not bothered about any additional party coming on board. We will welcome more parties. We know that our contract with the Ghanaian is what determines our future in terms of the governance of this country. And to the extent that we are delivering on our contract with the Ghanaian, to the extent that the Ghanaian believes that we are working in their interest, and to the extent that we have demonstrated that we can restore some hope and confidence in our body politic, I'm not sure Ghanaians will be looking for another alternative. And the last advice I will give is that, you see, when you set a question wrongly and you answer it, you may answer it correctly, but it will still be wrong.
Answer will be wrong. I see.
And if the wrong question is that Ghanaians are fed up with the duopoly because they have lost confidence, Ghanaians may be fed up with bad governance, fed up with nepotism, fed up with corruption among the elite, fed up with governance that doesn't work in the interest of the people. But they are not fed up with a governance that brings hope to them, that is leading to development. That's why they could give someone 2/3 overwhelming majority in parliament. Are Ghanaians really fed up with this type of government? I don't think so. So they should be sure that the primary question is right. Else,
the answer will be something else.
Thank you.
Great. A few messages. Paul Adumatri here. He will come with a stake. This one says, "Good morning, Salam. To the extent that the NPP could not put their house in order for us to get to this fragmentation of the party is a clear indication that there are no elders in the party. Constructive criticism is all we want. United Party, UP, you are welcome." This one from Abdul Ganiu Mankagrugu from the Savannah region says, "Former President George Rawlings' wife left the NDC and founded with her husband to form the NDP. Did the NDC break up? Dr. Yaobeda Samoa and some kingpins left the NDC along the line. Buzitan also left to form his party. Did the NDC collapse? NDC should channel all the energy to help JDM to fight Galamsey. That's more important than this. We, the MPP, we are not alarmed by the UP's decision to reject its offer of amnesty to former members who broke away from the party, insisting the move was only meant to reconcile suspended members, not defectors like Alan and his colleagues, Boniface Abubakar Siddiq, a migrant from the NDC to the MPP in 2004. So he doesn't know what made the MPP. That's Abdul Ganiu Mankirigu. All right, Paul, the issue about duopoly and all that they are trying to do, we've seen in the Fourth Republican era, which we have written extensively on, we've seen the UGM, we've seen the 77 story that defined the Fourth Republic. We've seen the UGM, we've seen reform, we've seen, what was the name? We've seen political parties, even Alan's movement for change, which is now changing to the UP. All of those haven't really worked. And in terms of even third forces, we've seen the GUM, we've seen Cheddar's, the New Force, etc. They've not really made any impact. Park, we've seen Doom's PPP, the CPP of old into the Fourth Republic. We've seen the PNC. They've rather been obliterated, nothing to show these days. Is it a case, or do you have the feeling that Ghanaians are fed up with a duopoly, as your preliminary comment before we build on from there?
Thank you very much, and good morning to all our viewers. I'd like to look at it on these three legs. First of all, about the
the history of these other parties, and then secondly, the impact that people make when they leave and how that impact is valued. I think that the impact is valued very wrongly because it's always looked at in terms of numbers, but it's not just about numbers. I'll come to that in a bit. And then ultimately whether the character of the movement of Alan Kyerematen as it then was and its impact in 2024 and the character of the United Party and its potential impact in 2028. First, as you said, and as somebody wrote, one of the texters wrote that in the Fourth Republic, and we have documented it, the first major breakaway of consequence was the National Reform Party, which broke away as a result of the inheritance of leadership in the NDC. And it came about when a group of cadres had believed that they had prepared Augustus Guzitano to become the next leader of the NDC. In more ways than few. Intellectually, he had gone to the United Nations to represent Ghana, and in terms of corporate, the government had set him up in a big way with transport and commodities. In terms of the inner workings of government, he had worked closely with national security. So they would have thought that this is a guy who had been prepared for the leadership after the NDC. In terms of social matters, he had a complexion that was very similar to Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, and therefore the switchover will be accepted by people. The advantages that accrued to Rawlings with his appearance were the same advantages that Guzitano was going to maintain. So this looked like a real good plan. Somewhere along the line, something shifted, and the Fanti Confederacy won. And Professor Mills was named by the founder as the next in line without a contest. That was the critical thing. They didn't mind. The reform group didn't mind if Professor Mills was suggested by the leader, but there was going to be a contest. They were sure they would win that contest. But here the contest was actually stopped. It was a major event. So major was it that the first interview granted by Guzitano to Joy FM's front page was directly taken out by government. Directly, not indirectly, directly taken out. Front page starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. Kweku Sechado was primed for the program. Guzitano had arrived in the studio, and then the Joy FM frequency was terminated. And so that's how serious it was. And that's how serious the government took this breakaway party. The breakaway party went into the 2000 election and did not garner many votes. And many people suggested that, after all, the reform got just a few votes. But that's the critical point I'm coming to. For these parties, at the time they break away, especially from ruling governments, it's not about the votes that they get. It's really about the impact that they make, which then throws a huge advantage to the opposition party for that election. But I realized a trend for these parties, and then afterwards there was a breakaway of Ibeda Samoa, which occurred in opposition. So the effect is quite minimal, and that's another dichotomy we have to draw. When the breakaway occurs when the parties in the bigger parties in government, and when it occurs when the bigger parties in opposition. Nana Kudedu Ajiman Rawlings, she was breaking away with the party in government. You would realize that many NDC people were very excited that she failed to show up on the ballot in 2012 as a result of disqualification by the Electoral Commission. That was critical. That was so essential, because the character of these breakaways, they are so effective if they are breaking away from government and soon into an election. So people talk about Alan Kyerematen gaining 33,000 votes across the nation, abysmal 33,000, and that he probably did not have an impact on the defeat. Certainly he did. He did, because he's breaking away whilst the party is in government. And he's breaking away when there's an argument before an election, before a people at an election time. You choose this or you choose that. Now, if the NDC campaigns that, look at them, their own party people have left. This is a terrible party that carries so much weight. It's not going to give votes to the one who is leaving, but it's going to really shift the pendulum in favor of the opposition. The thing, though, is this, and this is the critical point. As soon as that election is over, you will find, historically, that the relevance of these parties completely evaporates. Absolutely evaporates. They are not able to do anything. And we have found the reason. After the election, they are a party on their own. They now have to show why anybody should agree with them. They now have to show whether what they are offering is not already on the market. And often what they are offering is better on the market. They now have to show whether they have constituency representation. They now have to show whether they are formidable at all. And so because their formidability and relevance hinges 80% on the fact that I've broken away from a big party with an election ahead. That's how their relevance is clothed. And it's happening to all of them. So the much formidable appearing Reform Party, if you look at how Reform Party was at the time, and the UP, Alan Kyerematen's UP today, the Reform Party had very formidable people of the ruling party, like the core. Peter Paul Dube was a major backbone of the NDC. He left. Guzi Tano, this is the guy who had been prepared, blah, 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 he left. Chicho Poku, he left. Mije Bano, these were major people.
Emilia and all those people.
Emilia who is now back, yes. But then, after election 2000, that's it. That's it. Nobody cares anymore because of the power and strength of the duopoly and how it is easy for the Ghanaian, given our constitutional history, we've never had a proportional representation. So given our constitutional history, how it's easy for Ghanaians to determine between Matimehon and CPP, to determine between UP and NAL, to determine between PFP and PNP, to determine between NDC and MPP. That has been the historical pattern of our politics. So their relevance is always close
so is it
in
your
elections.
thesis that these parties are formed not to win elections on their own, but to cause the defeat of the mother party, which may be in power?
They are formed as a result of impatience. Gross political impatience. Guzitano, he returned to the NDC. Today he works with the NDC. Miliata, he returned. Obeda Sama was chairman of the NDC. And he left with Prince Derek Ajay and others to go and form United Something Party. Impatience. Today they are all back in the NDC.
DFP.
They formed the DFP as the Democratic Front Party or something like that. Mrs. Rawlins.
Freedom, democratic
Yes,
freedom.
Mrs. Rawlins left with Josiah Ayer, who was a general secretary of the party. So the history of the Fourth Republic at least shows that it is just a bit of impatience that, that gets these things to happen. And I'm not sure whether Mr. Alan Kyerematen and his closest supporters have heard what is on the lips of a few people sometime around January, February, even as recently as June, when people will discuss the MPP internal issue and they breathe a big sigh of relief and just say that, oh, if Alan hadn't left, this is for him. I'm sure they've heard these things. And it will drive home the level of the impatience now, but it will be obvious in future 2-3 years, 2028 down the line, because once they finish with their agenda to leave the MPP and it created an election buzz around them, that's it. Nothing is going to happen. This united party is not going to be able to raise substantial anything to confront the NDC or the MPP. The NDC is a huge political party. The MPP is a behemoth. You can't do much about it. So you can't deal with a behemoth like that and assume that you are offering an alternative. The alternative they're offering is already on the market. The Ghanaian is seeing the alternative to the NPP as the NDC, and it's a formidable alternative. The Ghanaian sees the alternative of the NDC as the MPP, and it's a formidable alternative. It still has to be said that there are still deficits with our political arrangement in terms of our constitutional arrangement, and that perhaps the Constitutional Review Committee should have a critical look at it, because we also don't want to create a situation where there are no political opportunities to raise smaller voices. If you look at South Africa and their proportional representation, it is the reason why Julius Malema's party has thriven in South Africa. It might be important for us to consider a political system that will recognize a certain arrangement to make smaller parties, smaller ideas relevant to our national discourse. And certainly, the winner takes all must be broken one way or the other. And we can look at all of these
So
things.
you don't think that Ghanaians, are fed up with the duopoly, which is the point Prof raised, that they may be setting the wrong question and answering it in the way that may not be addressing the issues. And when you look at it, we've seen parties come up. But in the end, the dominance of the two political parties, NDC, MPP, that dominance hasn't waned. It's still the same. And it even gets better or worse, depending on where you stand. We had the PNC and the CPP, which had representation in parliament in the past. Now they don't. Now we see a few independent candidates. The NDC and MPP duopoly is even stronger now, even than before. So do you also agree that Ghanaians may not be tired of the duopoly after all? They love it.
the duopoly has been driven by other aspects of the society, media. Because if you are a journalist and over the last 15 years you're covering a story, you cover an NDC story and an MPP story, you get the sense that it's more relevant to the person listening to you than you cover a PNC story, because as soon as you cover an NDC story, you have a rebuttal from MPP. As soon as you cover an MPP story, you have a rebuttal, and then you can see the formation of ideas. Once in a while, you go to these people, but the media has driven that. Also, corporate business. Business has also driven that. So that I'm answering the question why PNC used to have a seat in parliament, and today they don't have it anymore. So since 2000, when President Kufuor became president, when we took the major giant step into democratic practice, as it were, as opposed to the 1992 to 2000, business became bolder in terms of engaging with politics. And the business will most likely sponsor a political candidate from the NDC or the MPP, because if he's looking to shape opinion in parliament, he wants the opinion to be shaped from a caucus that is significant and relevant. And so that's how the minority party situation died in parliament. I think we do have some independents now.
Yes, about 3 or 4 of them.
But you can still identify
where they stand.
Yes,
so
where
a
they
lot
stand,
of them came
independent
from,
NDC.
and a lot of them came because they had
So
disagreements
I'm
with
worried
the other parties.
for Mr. Kyerematen that I think at the UP, very nice people in there, I think that they have misread the relevant quotient because the relevance is gone. The relevance was about 2000. The relevance was to aid
2024.
maybe not inadvertently, but the relevance aided the NDC's victory significantly. And I disagree with MPP people who say that, oh, but Alan got only 33,000 votes. That's not the point at all. That's not the point.
But the point, yes, I'll come to Senor. But the point you made also may work when they are in opposition, because, for example, a party may say, look at these guys, they're in opposition. They can't even put their house in order. How would they behave when they get into power? So don't vote for them. So it may as well work. But what we've also
when they
realized,
break away in opposition.
yes,
but it hasn't worked on the figures.
What we've actually seen is that the breakaways have actually helped the parties in opposition. So UGM and MPP, Rekubrobe, but the MPP eventually won that election.
That's interesting.
Nana Konedu's NDP.
The NDC won the election.
The NDC won. Obeda
From
Samuel's
opposition.
Party, and they won. So it appears that the breakaway in opposition is actually, should I call it a cancerous cell, that is strong, that are taken, Dr. I say so, that are taken away from the mother party, and that helps in their victory in the next election.
You know that Rekubrobe also returned.
Yeah, he returned and he wanted to be national chairman at some point.
Yes.
And in fact, he was given a role in Kufuor's
I don't know whether Alan Kyerematen has time to return, but really that is the path.
Okay,
if he has to be relevant in the future of Ghanaian politics.
You think he has to return?
Well, that's
and he's returned once. Wait, he's returned once.
They claim there was no resignation, so I don't like to talk about it. Obeda Samuel was the National Party chairman. He returned to the party, you know, because he needed the relevance. And as you're saying, and finding out, in opposition, it appears to help the opposition party. Because the critical thing is, I don't think Ghanaians really vote, or any group of voters vote for an opposition party. No, they vote against the government. So if you look at 2016 and you take the media reportage on the processes leading to the election, 3-4 months or 6 months leading to the election, the opposition MPP would have appeared to be in significant turmoil. Every news item was about throwing out your chairman, throwing out your general secretary, invincible forces are this one is that. Everybody was at each other's throats. The party was in so much disarray, as they put it in quotes. Freddie Blay becomes chairman of the party. Some people say he's a CPP guy. JB Dankwa will turn in his grave. And the acid burning of the Afokos brothers, the hometown, where Afoko's brother was taken to court for so many years, and they couldn't find much. Akufo-Addo had to truncate his trip in Germany. This was an opposition that appeared to be in turmoil. But what happened in the election? They achieved the biggest victory for themselves in the history of the Fourth Republic. So Ghanaians don't really worry about opposition.
They vote against.
They are looking at what the government is doing as against what the government promised, as against the things that the government said, and the opposition just draw the attention to them. It doesn't mean the opposition ought to be disorganized. But yes, these are the things that happen in the politics. So if NDC is in power, Ghanaians are marking NDC. They are looking at MPP, but they are marking NDC. And MPP's job is to point to them. Look at what they said. Look at what they are doing. This is what they said. This is what they are doing. They said they would do free SHS. Now they took their children to private schools and they couldn't pay. This is what they said. That is all the opposition needs to do.
Great.
Whether somebody has left, he's leaving, he's coming back, Ghanaians, no.
Great. Senor Husi, convener, One Ghana Movement, today is his birthday. Happy birthday to you. And once it's your birthday, we know we see some cakes and things. He's a solid guy. He's about many parts. It's a difficult guy to describe, but that's fine. Senor, welcome to the program. Been a while. You've been following this. Good move for Alan. I mean, of course, not good move per se. You think this would lead to the outcomes they expect? They want to contribute to the political discourse. They want to shape public opinion. They want to contribute mainly or majorly to the electoral discourse and electoral processes of this country. Eventually win the election. Be a third force, credible third force. You think these are objectives not far-fetched, given the nature of their party, how they got formed, the results of the last election? Paul says that shouldn't be the focus. But you think that they are on course to achieving that outcome?
Well, first of all, congratulations to Alan and my brother. It's a big step. It deepens our democracy. So it's something that should be encouraged. They found a way to bring the UP name back alive, to the discomfort of my brother Richie. But I agree with Richie too when he says that it does not necessarily define much. The name, very few people on the electoral college today. Remember, I mean, I really even know what UP is about.
We were all not born.
And, how many people were born? We had the privilege to really learn, and we saw people who really lived in that time. You and I had privileges to meet the likes of J.H. Mensah, Darocha before he passed. Yeah. And we're students and we're student leaders, and these were people, icons we looked up. So there was a reason. So I as much as I appreciate the value of the brand is not as meaningful, just like the CPP became meaningless by the time it came back to life. So it will always have to depend on the substance. The key question is whether Ghana is ready for a third force and what that really should look like. I have no doubt that increasingly Ghanaians are getting very tired of the kind of politics and the duopoly we live in. But they also seem not to have a choice. Would the UP now be a choice? I think that you have a lot of work to do. The key part of it is with people's credibility. The UP is still a function of the MPP stock. I don't think that it structured itself well enough to be a supposed centrist party. The truth of the matter is that both political parties don't have an ideology or an identity. They're a total disgrace to political philosophy. Their own people don't even know what it means to be a property-owning democracy or what it means to be a social democrat. They don't even know. Titus is here, if you'll be honest, he will tell you that the people walking down the streets there that they are supporting, they don't even have an understanding. There's a need for a certain education and a certain policy think tank orientation that our political parties must have. Unfortunately, they don't have it. They become just election machines. So trying to translate ideology, let people understand what party ideals and what they stand for, even is a problem. That's why you see the policies of both parties and you can't even see any difference. Will you be different? I don't know. I don't know whether you even be able to communicate it. There's going to be a big problem with the UP around trust. Let's take the Afrobarometer report. You take the round 10. Confidence in democracy relative to 2017 is down by about 29 percentage points. Relatively. So where are we going? Do we want to sit here and fool ourselves to think that this duopoly will always stand? Absolutely not. People are getting tired of democracy. And if we are all honest on this table, how many times don't we hear people talk about benevolent dictators? It started actively in the past government, and it hasn't changed. People are getting increasingly tired and disappointed with the democracy as we practice it today. So the duopoly have questions to answer. There's definitely a window for a proper third force. The question is, what credibility will bring that third force to real bear? That credibility has been missing. You take the likes of Pakwesi Indum, and when they came, I think that Ghanaians were still tolerant enough of the duopoly. So there was very little window to get that done. The Reform Party would have done that, okay? It didn't also work because everybody still felt that we should give this duopoly a real chance. But confidence in that duopoly has waned. There's definitely a room for a third force if especially the President Mahama regime fails Ghanaians. Democracy and the confidence in this duopoly will be totally crushed. I don't think Richie and Co should hope that, just like Paul rightly said, opposition take the spoils or the failings of the ruling government. That would necessarily be the case come 2028. The tolerance may not be there. But we definitely need proper trust in that new leadership and confidence in that new leadership for a proper third force to count. Would the UP show that? I don't know. Do they look like they will show that? No. But is there a chance for them to do so? Yes. If you had a third force that had a creme de la creme, a group of centrist people, moderates in both parties, the NDC and the MPP coming together, trying to break away from the trajectory of the existing parties, you really have a strong third force. But there's a lot a to do to really count. And I think that the polls at the last count, showed it. Alan is not mean a person. He served this country, and you have to give him credit for it. He's done his bit to our democracy. He's fought hard. All right, it's really fought hard for his party than he fought for his own movement and now his UP. So I have to be honest. I really appreciate his effort. I wish that, this place of our politics could recognize what he's done, and acknowledge it in some form. But I'm not too sure this really would be that answer to that. So
what should we do, or what should the party do to become a third force? We all thought Cheddar was going to make
Cheddar was never going to be. Let's be honest about it. It's what appeal. It's not. Cheddar is a great guy. It's a friend. But if everybody whose mind was on ground knew that was not really going to crack the whip. And he spent a lot of money on it. He tried, and you have to commend him for the effort he's put in. There's always going to be an issue of trust in an identification with strong policy orientation. There was a big gap. People don't want to worship cults anymore and personalities just anymore. People want to see a system that really works and want to trust a system that can define their path and their future for themselves and their children's children. So when you create too much of a cult around yourself, you will not necessarily make it. Where is the system? Where is the structure? Governance is not just about a person. A person can define the structure of governance, agreed. But it's actually about a system, a people, a proper governance machinery to actually deliver the ideals and expectations of the average voter at any point in time. None of these people have shown it. So it was never going to happen, but it was good enough to sort of shake the system. And Cheddar did well. If for him to have even beaten Alan Kyerematen was a statement enough, but we've also seen the likes of Mahama, what's his name, Dr. Mahama.
Dr. Edward
Mahama. They've also made strides to the point that they've even tried to get a seat or two before, and then now you lose everything. Look at the CPP, where are we? It's a matter of the credibility. You need a proper personality that Ghanaians can galvanize around, with the ability to pull the best from the existing governance structures. If one can do that, you have a true third force. If Alan wants to do that, then he must have to actually pull together the strong moderates across the divide and not focus more on building a party structure than a personality-driven, what do you call it, organization, which is for now, which is also not abnormal, because somebody must represent
exactly, and a strong person.
So how quickly you transition from that into a solid organization will be critical.
But having identifiable people solid in their own right, like Wabia Samoa,
they are all part of the MPP that were all disappointed
and all of those guys around.
Wabi was my MP. He's a great man. He's a good man in India. I don't lie you. Now I won't hide it. He's a good man. He's a very hard-working, very committed person. But look at the governance that we got. I keep telling everybody, in 2024, Baumia was not on the ballot.
It was
John Mahama himself was not on the ballot. It was only Nanado, yes or no. And we went to vote yes or no. I voted big no. I didn't hide it. I voted very big no. It's the same thing that happened to John Mahama in 2016. It was yes or no. And again, I gave him a big no. You understand?
So
in 2012, I voted for John Mahama very happily because I had a certain confidence, a certain kind of youth strength and moderate governance. Yeah, but I gave up in 2016. And I went back to him, not because I was looking for him, but because
there was no alternative.
He had to be there.
Great.
Yeah,
let me come back to Boabing for the last round. People think that the break should have been cleaner, given that all of you are identified or were identified with the MPP. You are breaking and you are going back for a name that is still identified or that still has an MPP flavor. Shouldn't that break be cleaner to attract people from the other side? Because it does appear that a typical NDC person who is not happy with his party may find it uncomfortable in joining the UP, the name itself, and the people around. Shouldn't you have, had a clean break from the MPP, get one or two other people who are different from MP, don't have MPP faces, to do this together with you so that they will also attract people from the other side?
Let me say that I'm very, very happy at the commentary around the table because it's obvious that there's a space for a third force. The duopoly is not safe anymore. It is a fact. Over time, 2 million people refused to step out and vote in the last election. These are people who risked going into opposition because they were unhappy with either the leadership of their party or the goings on for that election. It is a fact that there is appetite for a third force. It's a fact. The real question, and you are saying a break, the real question is whether or not there is a credible alternative which can step into either the breach for one of the duopoly or for both. Well, if you go into government, it means you are getting rid of both of them for the period you are in government. And that is what we aim to be, a credible alternative. Now, extrapolating and going forward, you say that we should have had a clean break. The movement, don't forget, had a partnership, a strategic electoral partnership with several other parties and entities, Alliance for Revolutionary Change, within which there were different groups of different persuasions, both left and right. As we speak, some of those people are part of the interim executive.
Which of them?
It will take too long to mention, but at least we have PNC people in the executive. They are part of the current interim executive. If you go to the website, it's there. So we are not exclusively people related to the MPP only of before. Now, coming to the name, it is not about the MPP's heritage. That name, I remember I told you that there was a survivalist situation where they had to coalesce around political freedoms. We are aiming to coalesce around moving this country forward on the economic path, properly so-called. So we are a united party focused on delivering integrity in public life, a discipline, and a national approach to problem solving. We want to establish a nationalist government, bring the best of Ghanaians across the divides, and make sure that we develop workable proposals, workable solutions. But above all, our route in terms of what we are going to build is an enterprise economy. So a well-regulated enterprise economy, not too much government interference, but protected social nets, well protected. So you have a balanced society. Now, in terms of membership, and I like what Senor is saying, I can't disclose all the strategies here, but this is not about Alan Kyerematen. This is about bringing moderate Ghanaian thinking who are already excluded from the duopoly. The duopoly who are taking everybody for granted and assuming that it's a revolving door, they can go in and out. And all the ills Prof mentioned, the bad governance with corruption, it's the duopoly that's bringing all those things about. The duopoly is unable to deal with those bad things which are making trust. Let me land. The duopoly is the cause of all those bad things. That is reducing confidence in democracy as we practice it. It is the duopoly's ability
Which
or
you contribute to.
inability.
Which you contributed
Very
to.
well. We're there. So now we are out and we are saying that we are offering an
No, you
alternative.
are out because you did not get the top man, the top job.
So assume that that is what you want to say.
No, which is the fact.
Well, it is
Because
your fact.
if
It
Alan
is your
has-
fact. Assuming we
has
stepped
become
out.
flag bearer,
Salom,
I'm
assuming
not
we
sure we'd
stepped
have
out.
had this
Assuming,
discussion.
no, that's a hypothetical situation that doesn't befit your status
No,
as a
no,
lawyer.
no,
Please, it's too hypothetical. Please, let me move on. Anyway, it's a sidebar. Let me move on. Let me move on. It's a sidebar.
Yes.
Let me move on. To add to that, perhaps if Alan had been the leader, their fortunes would have been different. So it's a sidebar. Let me move on.
All right.
Let me move on. So what I'm saying is that the work to bring the third force into being is not based on one party. That's the difficulty with all the parties that have gone before. No single group can break away or set itself out anew and claim a space as a third force alternative to the duopoly, because that is how strong the Constitution has made them. But the pockets of disaffection all over the place have to be
mobilize
brought
them.
together. And that is what the credible United Party is poised to do. That's why we are in the center. We are a centrist party. We want to bring everybody who is like-minded, moderate, intent, integrity, and make sure that we have a national plan that we can follow, that is sustainable. It is not enough to say that, President Obama is doing well now, so we will not need anybody on the economy. It's a very dynamic process. In 4 years, we will be questioning whether or not it's only about maintaining city stability or whether you can structurally change this economy.
Infrastructure.
So we are looking at deep economic changes, structural change to this Gettysburg economy that we always complain about but are unable to touch, and we still maintain. So it is a huge opportunity. I will not sit here and say that it is an easy opportunity, but nobody should assume that it is closed.
So what should we expect in 2028, which is the next election?
We want to win power.
You want
We
to win
want to
power?
build a formidable, credible alternative to the two that Ghanaians will buy into and
By
win
which
power.
time you'd have had constituency, what's the name, parliamentary candidates
Oh, that
across.
is already in rollout. We have lists of people who want to be MPs. We already have a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes. They took time to set this up. It's been 9 months since the election. We haven't been asleep. We've been working flat out.
I see.
We have the structures ready to roll out. Everything we've been doing has been to coalesce the thinking of independence, coalesce the thinking of moderate-minded people, coalesce the thinking of those who are fed up with the revolving door, this thing about not caring about voter sentiments, because you know that sooner or later, 4, 5, 8 years later, inevitably, you are going to come into power, and the assumption that Ghanaians don't have an option. That is the most dangerous assumption. They think they are safe because Ghanaians don't have an option. But the Ghanaian is a very deliberate human being.
Great, yeah.
When the Ghanaian takes a decision, it's final. And that is how come in the last election, the figures were that way. The Ghanaians decided that they would rather stay in opposition in their bedrooms rather than continue with that, what was going on. John Mahama won by, you said
Almost
the
2
last
million.
50. But what were the actual numbers? The numbers were not too different from what he got in the previous election, 2020. He barely made about 100,000 more. So it's not as if he won massively because people decided to.
But there are a whole lot of other points around
Many
whether
issues.
those people
Many
actually
issues.
existed.
No.
But-
That thing they've been doing, they should stop it.
Which thing?
You see that trying to create things as if people don't exist. And look, it's the reality.
What did you
I'm
say?
not you. It was talking about the 2 million. There are questions about whether the
Yes,
LDC should
it's
get it very, very clear in their head.
What are you talking about?
There's nothing special that has happened. The reality is the data.
The 2024 election
building policy around real
is a
data.
game
We start
changer.
creating
I see.
stories about it. That
It's
is why
a
they'll say
game changer.
trouble analysis.
Very
What
well.
is that?
The ground.
2 million people.
Let me land. I didn't land.
Because we're not happy with the
hold on,
APC.
Selo.
The ground has shifted.
Biometric data have been captured for every single person in this country who wanted to vote.
Great.
So how is it that the human beings don't exist?
Great.
Every time
Let
people
me-
lose
let me-
election,
let
and
me
they
go
try
to
to
Franklin,
blame
who's been
something.
waiting.
When you win,
People
you
did
blame
not
something
vote.
else.
Great.
They
The
chose
data
to go
is
into
there.
opposition.
Very well. Franklin Kujo, welcome to the program. Good to have you as always.
The ground has shifted.
What do you think Alan brings to the table? Is he that formidable to make a dent in the next election, just 3 years away? You should you kindly unmute, please.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Repeat your question.
Yes. I'm saying that what does Alan bring to the table? How does he position himself to make some impact in 2028, just 3 years away?
That's a difficult question. Is to assume that the spores of power essentially are going to be shared in such a way that a party will become overnight a saintly party. Otherwise, I think that Alan has a good soul. He's a good-natured human being. I think it's been tried and tested in one way or the other when it comes to trade. I mean, I recall Alan when he was under the minister under the first Akufo-Addo reign. Started something that I thought was quite brilliant, really. I mean, he wanted to understand the competitiveness of Ghana, actually, because he thought that Ghana could actually outcompete the likes of Rwanda and even those other countries like Botswana and co that were doing relatively better on the Doing Business Index. And he put together a committee of 5, I think. And actually, I recall that I had to put members of Imani on almost all the 5 committees. And the dedication, the attention to detail, the understanding that competitiveness meant that you needed to understand what every index or the indices that actually are measured that could garner a country that competitive edge were quite well in place and must be done methodically, scientifically, and actually worked upon. I thought he was doing well. Unfortunately, I think we moved a little bit below the 120th position we were during the first reign of Akufo-Addo. But on the second reign of Akufo-Addo, everything fell into darkness as he realized the center never helped. And so, well, Alan needed to find his way. Of course, to think that Alan was starved of critical minds, even within his own ministry. Almost all the agencies that could be effective were yanked off, basically giving so much power than himself. He became like a teetotaler guy. I mean, this guy was sitting there like a messenger, doing nothing really. And I thought, what a wasted brain. But anyway, he seemed to have. I'm not interested in the quarrels he had with his party or whether somebody should have been president before the other. Cleverly, I think it served him better not to really be recognized as part and parcel of the second reign of Akufo-Addo, because that reign was terrible, extremely terrible. So people should take solace in the fact that he moved away. Even though people could accuse him of whatever he had done in the past, if he loses, then he gets away. Anyway, that's a tradition the MPP understands better. I don't understand any of what they are doing there. But anyway, look, you asked an important question. What could he do effectively to turn the tables? I'll probably make a dent in the fortunes of in our fortunes as civilized human beings in this country, by the way, not necessarily the fortunes of political parties, right? And I think if Alan stayed the course of understanding that his first love, which was entrepreneurship, if he could turn those into, sellable, if you like, how do I put it? Actually bring it to the basics. By the way, CTF, we did a beautiful program on understanding the throes, the travails of the small-scale entrepreneur yesterday, and I listened with a lot of interest. I mean, the tax system that we have is skewed against them. Whatever enterprise, small, medium entrepreneurs, and even those are the further along the line, the last mile guys are just showed into oblivion. If Alan could reorient his message about building business, not Alan Cash, by the way, of course, Cash must be expressed in different terms, but could express himself in those terms and say, look, I am here for you, the ordinary person. You can be a business. You can even have a side business as a very avant-garde worker of the state. Whatever it is, you can still do some business. I'm here to give you the opportunity, teach you the skills to be able to save a little more, while I actually fight the Leviathan, which is the big government in the room. And I'm happy someone speaks eloquently about what should have been his first love of his party, NPP, but which seems to have moved away all the way from this center-right thinking
liberal democracy type of thinking into total gangantuan thing that kept eating away our food. In fact, actually ate our pensions and eating, it could even ate our boundaries as well. Right? Remember. Anyway, so I think Babwe Samoa evokes those thoughts, and I think if Alan takes that and says that I want to be the enterprise guy, the last mile guy, and I want you to build your own prosperity on the back of all these issues I'm going to reform within the governance system. I'm going to make sure that it's easier for you to pay attention. If you are somebody who sells, if you're a waiter or waitress, Ghana people don't give tips. I give some tips. Seller, we don't give tips. I mean, people keep their tips. I mean, all these people must have some sort of pension, some sort of gratuity, something that they can look up to, that they can build themselves. If Alan is able to move that message away from just saying that become members, and members must see themselves as contributing members to this small party, then he can raise that argument out and say, like, look, you should contribute to the success of every wherever you're, your town, your district, or whatever, and be part of the process of governance. This whole idea of the center doling and gifting money to all these decentralized agencies, I understand we all pay taxes. But it reeks of some sort of, paternalism, that type of, we live on that. Anyway, so if Alan is able to move us some of those, because you see, we need to build a country based on enterprise, based on what I call, people should be able to see that their wealth is built on, their health, for instance, is built on the little wealth they have. The state can come in to support a bit, but the state should not be that big brother that tries to give everybody. Everybody lives at the expense of the state. You want this, the state gives. That's why the education is just repeat on it. So if you can fix all those issues, you are asking me, hold on. If you can fix all these little issues, I think Alan has a clear path. It's not really about how many people can mobilize, but how many sensible minds you have cured and turned away from the fact that only the state should exist, only the state should benefit. That mentality is what leads politicians to feed fat on us and then insult us in the open as well.
Okay, great. Just to, I will conclude with you. This is not your party matters. Okay, I see. All right, so we've read that the MPP may put up a legal challenge to the name, etc. Is this something the MPP really wants to do? Is this something the MPP wants to look at?
I thought I answered that question. We haven't started to come up with any position. Anybody who says
Richard, I didn't see you. Sorry.
I saw you, Franklin.
Okay.
But so if anybody is saying that it's their own imagination or feeling that they're expressing, it's not the New Patriotic Party's position. And that's why I made a point that if anybody out there was worried about the use of UP,
there's no need to.
Then there's no need to, because where they are coming from is entirely different from what anybody in the MPP would have claimed to be their heritage. So they are entirely different. They're coming from a different angle. So they're using a name that we once used, but then not, the essence is not the same.
Very well. Great.
But you see, I was going to talk about motive, and you said we'll come back to that.
So just be 1 minute. Yeah.
So that chronology was given to you, instance in history where people with a certain motive had left the political party because they felt hurt, that they had a certain claim, they had a certain inevitability to become a leader of a party, but somehow life did not afford them that standing in the party. Always came to a point where I believe the UP would come to, which is that they will amount to nothing in the end. Because as Paul was showing in history, when Guzitano left, he felt inevitably he ought to have become the leader of the NDC after Jerry Rawlings. But then because that didn't happen, the pain, the disappointment led him to walk away with some people to form the Reform Party. That is not an organic galvanizing force or reason to bring people to stay. It's a cult. That's why my brother himself cannot refer to their UP in any other term but to say that Alan's UP, because it's Alan's project, which is what is going to remain. And the point is that who then would want to pursue this personal venture with Alan because he felt unhappy with the New Patriotic Party?
Great.
Hang on. The reason Alan left the New Patriotic Party is not because of any ideological position. It was not because the MPP had become something he disagrees with.
It has lost its internal
No, no.
democratic credentials.
No, it's not. He left because he couldn't win the primaries. Okay? Assuming...
Because the ground rules were not fair to him.
No, there was no, there's nothing. I'm telling you, I was part of that. And you have seen, I intentionally maintained a certain position in the party when it comes to...
in favor of Nanado in
It's twice that Alan has done that.
Yes.
And both have been, I went to primary.
I didn't win. Do you understand? So it's a personal project. And in fact, the selection of UP was intentional. Was a disruptive idea to kind of aim at the MPP. And I was surprised why they didn't choose NLM. Because if they had chosen NLM, then they would have gone to where they want to go to, because they want to disrupt the MPP in Ashanti region. So they should have chosen NLM instead of the UP. It's a disruptive idea. When you run on such pain, you can succeed.
Very well.
So this one here is painful. That's why I said my very, very good brother and senior, I love him to bits, wallowing in this political wilderness with Alan. Come back home. You understand? Because this is, I'm coming. This is a personal journey that he's on that would run him aground like he's done to all other people.
Very well.
So Guzi now is back home with the NDC. Then Madame Kunedu Rawlings, I don't know, the NDP. Exactly. You understand? So Alan, there is a pathway for him. And I believe that he can come back to the NPP. The idea that they can aim at some duopoly and destroy it. So this whole idea of duopoly is not an intentional construct. It's a natural selection. It is a choice of the people.
Great.
So it is not that somebody is sitting somewhere and holding some two parties together and say they are the ones you vote for. People always have a choice, and because of history, because of how our politics is organized, they are always selecting into these two options.
Great.
So the duopoly they are aiming for, that duopoly is not going to be broken because they have come. They are going to be long gone, and the duopoly will continue.
Great. Prof, I'll give you 1 minute to wrap up here.
So all I want to summarize in all of this is that the assumption, in fact, the perception that people have lost confidence in a supposed duopoly, which is where he left out from. Nobody deliberately created it.
Exactly.
And I just want it to be clear to everybody that the current government, the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and all his appointees are conscious of the fact that at some point people were at the verge of losing confidence in the democratic experiment that we have as a nation. Based on that, we are mindful of all our actions, and we are mindful not to disappoint, so that this fragile democracy can grow.
Great.
And we welcome constructive criticisms to help us. Thank you.
Great.
So I'm really happy.
Yeah, that's fine. So I think on that happy note, Senu's happy note, I think a short break. When we return, we will look at Galamsey and the gold board and all of that. Thanks so much, Yabobe Asamoah, and all of that. We'll be right back.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
The alumni of Sweetroot Secondary School, Swesco, invites you to the annual All-Year Group Awards and Dinner Dance. Relive the memories, reconnect with friends. The Old Swesconians Annual Year Group Awards and Dinner Dance is here. Join us on November 1st at 5 p.m. at the beautiful Channel 1 TV Gardens in Tesano. For just 500 Ghana cedis per head, enjoy an evening of dinner, music, and nostalgia. Don't miss the reunion of the year. The Old Swesconians Annual All-Year Group Awards and Dinner Dance is on the 1st of November 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Channel 1 TV Gardens. Contact your year group or chapter president and get your tickets. Sepulchrum Optimus, always with the best. This October, Northern Ghana takes center stage. Get ready for the Northern Business Fair 2025, the ultimate one-stop shop for everything made in Ghana in the Savannah, Northern, Northeast, Upper East, and Upper West regions. From hand-woven smocks and intricate crafts to modern manufacturing, innovative packaging of made-in-Ghana products, and thriving homegrown businesses, it's a vibrant celebration of talent, innovation, and authenticity. Brought to you by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 CDFM, it's the biggest trade fair showcasing Kenyan SMEs, startups, research bodies, and indigenous brands making waves across the nation. It's happening on Saturday the 25th and Sunday the 26th of October 2025 at the Tamale Sports Stadium. The time is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Want to exhibit? Call 0205-973-973 today and book your space. Don't just hear about it, see it, experience it, and live it. The Northern Business Fair, your market, your connections, your growth. The Northern Business Fair 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 CDFM and is proudly sponsored by Ecobank, Side Hustle, the Ghana Enterprises Agency, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, and supported by Caxstone Records.
So maybe there are two of you. All right, now welcome back. This is the big issue. When you have a panel guests, including Senyo and Paul and Richard and Prof. I mean, that's what happens. Welcome back. This is a big issue. 97.3 FM, Channel 1 Television, etc. A number of things, happened this week. Of course, we'll talk about Galamsey briefly, but I will spare a few thoughts on the Chief Justice. She's back in court. She wants to trigger some processes that will halt the vetting of Bafo-Boni GSC as the next Chief Justice of Ghana. Many have said that it's a waste of time, but she believes in the rule of law. She believes in the court system she oversaw and thinks that the court could do something about the processes because she's still in court. A few others have spoken. People like Ansar Sari, former director of legal education, the Ghana Law School, says she should move on. The matter is dead on arrival. Policy, I'll give Paul a few minutes, give my panelists some two minutes to share a few thoughts on this, and we'll move on to our next matter. Paul, were you surprised at the action of the CJ? She still appears to have some belief in the judicial system, that the judiciary or the judicial system could give her justice. She wants to halt the vetting of Bafo-Boni so her matters could conclude, and then we see where it falls. People think it's a waste of time. What do you say?
I think more than the pursuit of justice, she's also trying to remove the lid on the details of the reasons why she was removed. And she wants these incidents to be looked at by Ghanaians and fairly and squarely so that an average Ghanaian can determine whether these are the reasons why you can remove a Chief Justice. That really is one of the legs, appears to me to be one of the legs of this legal action, because in the legal action, she has the opportunity for the first time to detail out the conclusions of the committee and the government against her. And she summarizes it in 3 beautiful ways. And one of the reasons, 3 reasons for which she was removed, one of them is that she had an expenditure overdrive. The other one was that she had transferred an individual. And the other one was that she had participated in the nomination of new Supreme Court judges in the manner that the petitioner felt was improper, extra legal. Now, on the first one about expenditure, she makes the point in the legal action that this is an expensive, this is a public institution. Expenditures are audited by the Auditor General every year. When the Auditor General audits expenditures of these institutions and there are red flags or there are any adversary findings, such adversary findings are made public, including being made to that entity. So this is a judicial service. She traveled with a family member, and then she was given some money, which is standard, determined by a committee how much is being given. She was given that money. She didn't spend that money. She brought the rest back. The petitioner says that she traveled with a relative instead of traveling with a bodyguard. That's really what the petition is saying, that instead of security, because her policy says that she must travel with security, and instead of that, she swapped it with something like that. Now, yes, there are people who process the travel, different kinds of people. And the Auditor General, in terms of the impress that was expended, the Auditor General had an occasion to look at it and ask questions, and the questions were answered. And when the Auditor General asks questions and they are answered and he's not satisfied, there are ways of dealing with the surcharge, etc., etc. So to the extent that the Auditor General, who is the final authority on these matters, had looked at it and had deemed it sufficiently wholesome, she's alleging to the court that the committee ought not to have even been able to look at it without bringing the Auditor General to the committee for a determination of the matter. And in terms of the trial, the Auditor General was not invited to look at this matter. This is the matter.
But she could have subpoenaed the Auditor General to come.
Well, that's where IUKO comes in with the processes that obtain there. When you subpoena somebody, I don't know whether we're able to mention it. It was a very important, somebody from the Office of the President was twice subpoenaed to the committee, and both occasions, the chairman of the committee will not allow her to speak. She was subpoenaed by Tokonu's legal team. She says she's a senior staffer at the Office of the President. And so there were some matters that she said that it is within their domain. The Office of the President will know. She was subpoenaed twice and he will not be allowed to speak. So what this writ is trying to do is to show Ghanaians that here you have a Chief Justice. The Chief Justice has expended expenditure of public money. The system allows the Auditor General to look at it. The Auditor General has looked at it and they didn't find anything wrong with it. A committee then is petitioned and they take up a matter that the Auditor General has looked at and they didn't find anything wrong with it, and they do not even invite the Auditor General to the processes. That's why they were calling for a public viewing of the matter. If the public had viewed the trial like we do election petitions on television, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about somebody was subpoenaed and I can't mention his name. So that's one.
The second one, nature is purely a constitutional.
Fair enough. I don't want to go to the in-camera nature. There are creatives. The Georgiana Wood is the reason why we see court on television. The Supreme Court actually ruled against it.
No law expressly bars.
But fair enough. But the Supreme Court, in the same election petition, ruled against the application for live coverage. The Supreme Court ruled against it, and it was Georgiana Wood who, by a fiat, exercising her administrative authority as Chief Justice, allowed the thing.
But it's constitutional. This constitutional.
It's over a constitutional.
This constitutional.
Constitutional provision.
And you see, if you don't do in camera, there were people or there are other people who will not have come.
I don't want to be distracted with the in-camera. So the Auditor General's one is one. Two, the Chief Justice in her administrative capacity runs the judiciary. She's able to transfer and retransfer and readjust and reassign people in the judiciary. She's able to assign all kinds of people from the lowest to the highest. She's able to transfer Court of Appeal judges from Accra to Kumasi and to Koforidua. The Supreme Court sits only in Accra, and therefore you can't transfer Supreme Court judges. But if the Supreme Court were sitting in Kumasi and other places, she would have been able to transfer them. Yes, a petition that comes to the committee says that the Chief Justice has transferred somebody, and that becomes a subject matter at the committee that she has exercised her administrative authority. Now, under the 1992 Constitution...
Who is this somebody?
Somebody was working in the office.
Yes.
I'll come to that. Why this issue of transfer even came up. Under the 1992 Constitution, the authorities like the President's Chief Justice and all of those people are given discretionary powers.
Yes.
And there are so many discretionary powers in the Constitution. So in Article 296 of the Constitution, discretionary authority granted under the Constitution is regulated. Yes. And Article 296 says that discretionary cannot be exercised capriciously, whimsically, and all of that. Fair enough. So when the Chief Justice power of transfer will be considered as a discretionary authority. Now, the provisions of Article 296 in terms of how discretion is applied to make a determination on whether it has been whimsical, it has been that, it's a judicial decision. To make a determination that a discretion has been exercised contrary to the provisions of 296, it's not a quasi-judicial decision, it is a judicial finding that ought to achieve that. Forget about that. This particular transfer, even if you can assume that it's whimsical and therefore you can say that, oh, CJ saw the guy and said that, I don't like your face and transferred here, and then you can make a case out of it. This particular transfer is very unique. It was occasioned by the trial of Jachi Kwesen. Now, during the trial of Jachi Kwesen, it was found by the judge and the registrar of the court that it's a whole section of the transfer, the data, the record, the whole section of the text, the report of the court had been deleted. And so immediately red flags were raised and meetings were called. The National Signals Bureau were asked to look at the computer system at the court and make a determination as to who could have been responsible for this. The National Signals Bureau made a finding and had names in the finding. This transfer was occasioned by the findings of the National Signals Bureau. How then can anyone say that such a transfer should be captured within discretionary authority and therefore within the provisions of Article 296, and it must be a quasi-judicial committee that makes a legal finding on the violations of Article 296? How can you say that? So this one other thing she's bringing for the public to look at and determine that this is why your Chief Justice has been sacked, because he occasioned the transfer because somebody was said to have deleted court document of the Jachi Kwesen trial. And when she said this person is therefore transferred, they said that they are coming to a committee to come and look at it and then they will sack her. The other thing she did was this allegation. This is the last one. The allegation, that's three things. The last one is allegations that she had participated with President Akufo-Addo,
suggested names
somehow
of persons.
or rather to suggest names of people to go to the...
so that was contrary to the law and practice.
Yes. The Ghana Bar Association,
ought to have known
the Ghana Bar
that
Association,
was in the route to
the Ghana Bar Association testified before the committee and indicated how it happened and gave it a clean bill of health. The Ghana Bar Association testified because the allegation includes the bar in the allegations that went before the committee. That's the reason. The allegations includes the bar. Now, the law says the Judicial Committee or Judicial Council shall nominate judges of the Court of Appeal, etc., etc. In the case of the Supreme Court judges, the President sends a list to Parliament. If the President consults me,
no, the list that sends to Parliament would have gone through some processes. The parliamentary one is the final.
But if Senator Jose is President and I come to him and I say that, are you making nomination for the Supreme Court? He says, oh yes, I am.
But don't kill me quick. You start declaring presidency. I don't have a UP party.
No, hold on. And then I said that, Salom has done 30 years at the bar. Yeah. You remember Salom from CTFM? He says, oh yeah, I do. Yeah, he said, so he's done 30 years at the bar. He's at the Court of Appeal. I think you should consider him. And then Senator Jose picks that and somebody hears the conversation and says that
this was written.
This was written.
It was detailed. It was an argument, you know, for
administrative powers and actually showed clear signs of influence.
The point really is that
it's not encouraged under the Constitution.
She could have used the proper route. Should have gone to the judicial.
To exert powers that she doesn't have.
No. So I'm happy that you didn't talk about the expenditure. You didn't talk about the transfer. You didn't talk about the transfer.
Yes.
So I'm saying that the Chief Justice wants Ghanaians to know that by this application to the court, now it's public, that these are the reasons why a Chief Justice has been removed. One, because she traveled and the Auditor General doesn't see anything wrong with it and they say there's something wrong with it. Two, because
you don't
she
think
occasioned
the court may
transfer.
raise jurisdictional issues in terms of the fact that this is an Article 164 matter to be held in camera, and now you want to bring everything done in camera to the public court. You don't think the court will decline jurisdiction?
She's filing an action at the High Court, actually. She's not asking for an interpretation. filing an action at the High Court, which is clouded within human rights. And so if the court makes the ruling, the court has the power to make whatever ruling they want to make. But if the court makes the ruling that where you go into an Article 146 process and there are obvious, gross and clear human rights violations, that it is not clothed with the power under the 1992 Constitution to look at human rights violations, which is really the most fundamental matter of any democracy, that the court says that I am limited with an Article 146 process, that where it's an Article 146 process, whatever happens in there, I cannot deal with it. Then you are going to set a very dangerous precedent for the future, because all Article 146 process have been said to be in camera, and I hope that Dr. Premper is looking at it. And all Article 146 process emanates from the office of the political authority. So where a matter emanates from the office of the political authority...
Does it emanate from the office of the political authority?
Certainly that's for the president.
The petitioner?
The president.
The petitioner is the one who originates the action?
No, I didn't say originate.
Emanates, okay.
Yes. Originates, yes. The originating motion is coming from an individual. But the process by which it is given life, it's a process that comes out of the desk of the political authority. So where processes are coming out of the desk of the political authority, and a person who is a subject of such a trial process comes out to say that my human rights were grossly violated during the process of the trial, and the High Court says that I cannot look at it because an Article 146, fair enough. If that's what the High Court will say, fair enough.
So Senator, 146, all of that, persons like Asasari say that it's dead on arrival, went ahead to say that she did not even have the emotional intelligence, maturity, blah, blah, blah.
I've said clearly that our former Chief Justice really has a lot of space and gap to fill when it comes to emotional intelligence. And she's showing it again. I think she's doing herself a lot of disservice. The little that she has and honor that she has, I've thought that it would have been better for her to make her case to the public once and take a step back.
But to be fair, this is somebody who has been on the bench for about 21 years.
Oh, she's been on the bench. Please, I beg you, there'll be people there before. Please, I beg you. Don't create something and say the person was special.
21 years is quite a long time. And to lose it in the manner she thinks is flimsy, that
those of us, all of us sitting on this table know that there was a pathway to avoid that.
Which was what?
I won't discuss it. They know, everybody here on this table knows that there was a pathway.
Including Richard?
Richard knows. We all this is not why. Please, not the rumor. It's not about emoluments. It's not about emoluments. They were about emoluments. They were about emoluments. That's a pathway to avoid that. She didn't want it. She's asked for what she got, and she's gotten it. But let me address the issues Paul raised. And first, I have not been a fan of the Chief Justice, but I never believed that she should be pushed out unfairly or unjustly. That one, there are two different things. If I don't like you, that doesn't mean that you sit there and want injustice to be extended to you. No, not at all. This woman pretended a judiciary that had lost the confidence of the entire public to the point of 33%. That is terrible, if not 23. I have to look at the Afro barometer. I think it's 33 or 23%.
Is it the lowest? The judiciary has
No. It's the lowest ever. It's no.
She took it from 100%.
My brother, go and look at the data.
From 100%.
Go and look at the data.
No.
Please. Go and look at the data. She brought it there.
Great.
And you can't blame her alone, to be honest.
Yes,
Let me finish. You can't
And
blame
you
her.
blame her at all.
Yes.
So what is the point?
Yes.
You are talking about
Yes. No. Please, I beg. No.
It's a second court.
I told you.
It's a criminal justice system.
No. Please let me speak. No, allow me to speak. I beg you. What she did when she threw governance and democracy and judicial propriety to the drugs under that Afenyo Markin versus Speaker case, that is what broke the camel's back. You are sitting there. I beg you, let me finish.
I didn't get
I beg you. He's a lawyer.
No, because she expedited it, but that should cause the process to be expedited.
Look at what she did when she was.
Is it a vacant seat?
Yeah. That is what broke the camel's back. You see, the woman didn't realize that she was so emotionally unintelligent in that matter. Oh, please, allow me to talk. You have your otherwise I'll spend my time. I can deal with you. It's a simple thing. Nobody here, if I want to deal with you, I can't deal with you.
I beg you. You're a better boy.
I've written my piece on it.
Yes.
And I said very clearly, she missed it. Because what she did, she could have avoided everyone. Everybody was always suspicious of you. Everybody was already doubtful of you. Everybody thought you were too politically active on the bench. Everybody said that. And now the people walk to you and you just run. Like you see a madman takes your tower and you actually run the cat to go and chase him. And that's what happened. You know the law. You see what happened. What did she do with the injunction? Did she give it beyond the 10-day stay that was typically requested and is typically done conventional? Nobody's done that. She rewrote the law.
Please.
I'm saying that what she did, that particular thing, when the people asked for the 10, so you forgot it. You were talking, so now you address your matter. Let me address his matter.
What is
One. She's talking about the injunction.
One.
the injunction?
You talk about the appointment. Go and look at Article 144. Appointment of the judges.
Supreme Court. The Supreme
And
Court.
her influence in that process.
I thought you come to explain this. This case that you said she did something. The one you are talking about, the vacant seats, the injunction.
I don't think my piece. You can go and read.
Okay.
Yeah, I've written my piece. I'm saying that the woman has acted emotionally unintelligent, and she gave herself out on that particular case because there's been always suspicion, and this one you run to it. Anybody who's followed the case knows it.
So, Senor, are you saying that somebody being political, I mean, so because of that, the reasons for her removal?
No, it's not the reason for. I'm saying that we're talking about emotional intelligence, and I'm just telling you, when you know people are suspicious of you, you should remember, NDC has appointed only one CJ. And they've inherited CJs, and they have lived with them. There will always be efforts, but you realize that the brother governance, structure did not carry with that. No, everybody else. The NDC appointed only one. Only one CJ. Aban, that's all. Acha was inherited by the democracy.
PNDC.
Yes. It is only George, only Aban.
No, NDC and PNDC.
Listen, only Aban. So I'm just telling you that it's only one. NDC has a culture.
That is not even
please, let me finish. Please. NDC has a culture of inheriting CJs and working with them, even if people within their systems are not happy about it. So why was this different? And I go back to what you said, Ansari said, her emotional intelligence.
So now let me deal. NDC has a culture of inheriting CJs in Georgina Wood.
No, every one of them. Go and look at the data.
Everybody is 2008. In 2016. Georgina Wood was still there. In 2016, it's only Georgina Wood. What are you talking about?
In 2025, they inherited.
That's the second time they've done an inheritance. And the first one, Georgina Wood, they tried to remove her.
Nobody remove her.
I can kill a cat. Have you forgotten?
So what?
I won't allow him. I went at the press conference. No. At the Mills press conference, it was my question. I asked Mills the press conference question about Georgina Wood. And Mills said that, does he look like a cat killer?
I thought it was.
And Kwabena J is the one who started it.
Who was the leader of the party?
Mills, Professor Mills.
And what did he say?
He says he's not interested in removing Chief Justice.
So what do you think is the
that's
position of the
what
party?
That's justified by what you said.
Points I'm making.
The leadership of
But in the end,
There was
But
there will always be pressure.
Pressure was the same.
next one.
But there was tolerance.
I'm not making my point.
The only thing they the next one is Stockholm.
So you need to listen to each other. Yeah, so let's go.
Let him run. Two chief justices.
Yes.
Georgina Wood and Tokonu. That's it.
Finish.
Sorry, one Tokonu
And Wood. Finish. Again, you are wrong.
No.
You are suggesting that when you are assuming that when you are running a government, that is when you are inheriting somebody.
No, but that's when you have the power.
Oh, please.
No, we are.
When you have the power, so if you are talking about that, you are right about it. Please, every single CJ that has been appointed, somebody should tell me, apart from Redu, that we had an effort and he didn't have any political undertone for his removal. Have you seen the NDC try to remove anybody by a petition on its own? Whether it was running.
There are only two opportunities. Georgina Wood and Tokonu.
I'm saying, have you seen the NDC machinery? The fact that people have
Georgina Wood, yes, I saw it.
The NDC machinery that
was running it.
That is not even the flash of the macro.
Let me conclude.
One, you start with the issue about appointments. Go through Article 144. and the process of it. Show me where the CJ comes into play. Now, there's a reason why the Constitution did this. It gave powers to people outside to make that decision. They may consult informally or not with people inside. But you don't accrue powers you shouldn't, because you now create a certain power to suggest that for people to even move up the ladder within the judiciary is dependent on you as CJ, who exercises administrative authority over them. There's a reason why our Constitution did that. She breached that by that conduct. That was not right. You go back to the next one. You are referring to the 296 and the need for us to exercise discretionary power. And you see what the Constitution talks about it, that we can't do that capriciously. All right, you just can't do that at your frivolously. You can't do that. Agreed. And you are trying to assume that it is for the Constitution and the judiciary to determine how a court who defines that. That's your view.
Oh no, it's a judicial process.
The judicial process. Oh, don't worry about whether it's quasi or not. Ultimately, the same Constitution is the one that sets this quasi-judicial process to listen to and make determination about impropriety, which again is an act of discretionary assessment by anybody. So what do you think we are saying? You are trying to suggest that the entire Constitution missed the boat by trying to suggest that there should be a quasi-judicial process that should make this determination. You think that the Constitution did not really envisage that it would really need legal minds and all non-legal minds to be able to legitimately make that decision or assertion. Let's not be unfair to that committee.
Very well.
I may not agree with them. You may not agree with them. But let's not bring that process into question. That process was well walked through. On the issue about the spending, you look at the whole thing. It's true. There was a lot of frivolous comments around the petitions that came. But at the heart of it was this particular one on the expenditure. You have a policy to travel with your family, and the state will have to pay for it. There's no problem with that. And the policy states very clearly for official duties. And you do so for a vacation. All of us sitting here, is a vacation an official duty? Why did the vacation not go to Kumasi? Why did the vacation not go to Ho?
Could have.
It could have. Yeah, but so you ask the question, you are taking your vacation. The state is sponsoring your vacation. It has a policy to fund other people with you of your own choice if it is official. Is your vacation an official trip? If John Mahama had done this, what would we have said? And that was for me. Let me finish. Let me finish.
The vacation is allowed, but he should have gone with the security.
No. The problem for security, she's entitled to that any day, irrespective of official or not. No. I beg you. She's entitled to go with security any day. It's up to them. That's not. We are protecting the CJ, her office, and that's why the security is there. We are talking about going with the family member. She's entitled to fly with a significant other of her choice on official duties only. This problem only accrues because she did so in this particular instance on a vacation, which is not an official duty.
Very well.
Let's be fair to that particular matter. When I have to assess things, whether I like you or not, you study the principle of epoche in philosophy. You have to take yourself out of it and look at it objectively and ask yourself, if I had no interest and it was the other way around, how would I assess it? There's no way we would have been sitting here quiet. You will be sitting here quiet to entertain the idea of John Mama flying with his children when he's not entitled to do so on a vacation. Nobody will do so. When he goes on an official trip with Mama Lodina, nobody has a problem with that. But if she's not entitled to go on a vacation funded by the state and he does that, we will all eat him up.
Very well.
So let's be fair to that particular matter. Having said that, this her move, I don't think again is emotionally intelligent.
She has to tell a story.
And look, her story must be told. I agree with her. She believes in it. She must have it told. I'm happy that we have legal structures. We have good democratic credentials to allow her to do what she's doing. But if I were to advise her, save face for the family and let's move on. It will go nowhere. But make your case and let the public hear and create the confusion about your victimization in the public and walk away with some honor and dignity. what she continues to do.
She wants a story told so that someday,
I mean,
people
Sana
can
is
see.
right, but that's what she knows is court.
Yes,
As we're
that's what
saying,
she's going, yeah.
that's you and I are civil society. So
That's not exactly true.
It's not to the media. Every day you bring your matter back, what you have been discussing, the very Ghanaians should have forgotten, and you become you and something who will enjoy you. No, but this is my brother, but I plan to give him some because he gets respect.
But you see,
Some judge and 80.
so you see, my position on this Chief Justice matter is clear. But it's just sad that people are arrogating to themselves some emotional smartness as though that they are the owners and like they are the authority or the emotional intelligence. The former, what was it at the law school?
The former director.
I was flabbergasted when I was reading it. I'm like, how can you?
But it's always had that view, though.
But it is improper.
Senor has had that view.
No. Senor is just echoing what he has said.
But Senor said that a few times.
Senor is hold on. I think it's inappropriate for him to be talking like that.
That a woman that she lacks emotional intelligence.
He's a trained lawyer, isn't it?
It's a senior lawyer. I mean,
absolutely.
Done a lot of things.
And is it talking law or is he talking? Wait. He said that wait. He says that her action reflects emotional imbalance and emotional immaturity. I'm not saying is that. Hold on.
Imbalance
Yes.
is very strong.
You understand? So I'm just saying that. Hold on. So will he be okay? Will he be okay if I use that on him? That all the argument he's making appears that he's emotionally imbalanced. He's emotionally immature. You understand? It is there in black and white.
Maybe it was live.
There was a live.
You understand? So I'm just saying that.
Emotional balance, I think, is over the top.
Yes.
It's
Whatever is happening with the Chief of Staff matter, the Chief Justice matter, history would put it in perspective. And I agree with her 101% for these steps that is taken. The NDC is not comfortable with it because the matter is not gone. And I wanted to continue because they are. I must say, look at what in the smoke. When they cancel
I hate this matter because it comes to take away my Galamsey problems.
No.
So they're happy.
Please. So the point I am making is that hold on. See, the point I'm making is that if you go through the 3 issues that were brought in those petitions, the idea that she had taking her family on a vacation and they were paid, and so therefore they ought not to have been given any per diems, and so therefore that is against her office, and for that reason is an improper behavior and misconduct, for which reason she ought to be removed, has no basis. Look, President Mahama himself was saying recently that something ought to be done about this perennial issue of budget misappropriation and the use of monies at the government agencies, and therefore public account committee will have to sit and go through people are said child they don't pay, and we'll go through this rigmarole all the time. That we need to find a way to end it. It's the same thing.
But you know,
the Auditor General looked at that conduct and said that that was not anything worthy of comment, and so that issue was
the Auditor General said that.
But she wasn't cited for any misconduct by the Auditor General when he looked at it. The other thing, hold on, you don't have time. The other thing to do with transfer is a matter within her domain to do. Look, are we to say that President Mahama should be impeached? And then I want to hear Senor on that when we talk about the Galamsey matter. President Mahama should be impeached because his acceptance to us in his press conference to say that yes, it's our land that is being destroyed, therefore Galamsey gold, when it's found, should be bought, which is an illegal enterprise. He, the president who is supposed to enforce and ensure that our constitution works, something that is against our laws, he is engaging in that enterprise. But I'm saying that, are we to say that President Mahama should be impeached because of that?
What is wrong?
What is wrong is wrong.
Yes.
You understand?
So I don't think there's no compare. There's no evidence around that yet.
No, I'm saying that it's a definite illegality. Because Galamsey, I don't think it's legal. No, I'm not moving. I'm just comparing the conduct. No, please, you have. I mean, it's not as if we're moving on. So we are comparing conduct. You understand? But the Auditor General did not see anything wrong with that, for which reason they don't want him to come and testify. And then you are saying that she gave her opinion.
No, they didn't subpoena her. So she was not, the Auditor General was not called, as far as we know.
No, but as far as one of the lawyers.
But they could have subpoenaed.
What I'm saying that the process is they don't allow them to come.
Give it a try.
Are you saying if you want?
Give it a try. So that
hold on. The point is that if you take your phone and call lawyer Ayekwe Otu, he will give you perspective on what transpired. At that committee,
but
which is why. No, well, I agree. But he was in the room, so his perspective. Yes, no problem. But you see, you cannot have two different opinions about the same thing in the room. No, I'm saying that. No, I'm saying that. I'm just saying to you, no problem. So therefore, then you pick to choose which side you want. So then it's okay that I would choose.
You're objective. You have to look at it.
But I'm just saying that.
Or you've heard one side of the story.
I'm just saying to you that the idea, whatever side you want to belong to, it is not significant to say that because she had given her opinion in selecting one person or the other, the president talks to so many other people to come to a certain decision. The idea is that individual worthy to be there? Are they in pole position to be nominated to the Supreme Court? Is that the case? If that is the case, what is the matter? On which basis you want to remove somebody? So for me, from the start, the CJ's removal, I said that it's a political venture of the NDC. They tried it with Madame Georgina Wood. They didn't succeed, but this time they were definite. They were not going to be stopped. They botched all the processes. They only used the Article 146 as an instrument to execute their political agenda. You understand? So the point.
Let me confirm something.
You have to move on.
You have to move on. Don't wait 1 second.
So because it's your birthday, I'll allow you.
The decision to take Tokonu out, let's be honest, was a political decision taken even before the process started. It's the same thing we did to Charlotte Osei, where the political decision was taken, and now people went back.
Now I'm giving you the opportunity, but you are messing it up. The truth is that
I'm saying that too. So
the point,
political process well executed in your view.
No, it wasn't well executed. It was a political decision that they leveraged the law to implement. But the point is that it is wrong. It sets a bad precedent. And what we are experiencing today, I expect that this will continue. Even if Justice Bafuboni is in place, there must be hundreds of petitions every day to remove him. Because they have started a process which must carry on. Which shouldn't have started, but now they have started, it must carry on.
There should be a pre-action determination. And who is that determination?
Well, the petitions will come nonetheless. The petitions might come nonetheless. And when you refuse to determine or to move forward with the process, then I will now see. What he said. Now, what he has his own personal CJ, he won't remove him. He will conduct himself.
So I think I will begin by making a very little comment on one of his submissions that might take.
No, just make yours.
No. I mean, it's in relation to the substance of the matter.
We are going to
because he stated the facts, and one of them is this appointment, and then you are saying that are the persons qualified to be there? Are you saying process doesn't matter? Because the fact that someone is qualified to be a Supreme Court judge or Justice of the Appeal Court doesn't mean that if the person is nominated through a wrong route, it's acceptable. The work of this committee was to find out was process followed, and if there was a violation of the process, that's a misconduct. That's a misconduct. So this is what you look at, not whether it's justified at the end. No. The other issue that I want to also state is that, look, if we want to really look at the Constitution, this is an opportunity for all of us to look at the Constitution. But
you know that you are a lawyer. You understand? Even the determination of misconduct is not expressed.
So I'm coming to that.
It's referred to the committee.
That's why I'm coming to that. So we are saying that if we have an opportunity to review, our Constitution, if we want to look at stated misbehavior and what constitutes that, and want to define it more expressly, we have an opportunity to do that in a constitutional review. As it stands today, my understanding of it is that it is not a quantitative measure to tell us that this stated misbehavior is a very huge stated misbehavior, or this one is a small stated misbehavior. Stated misbehavior is stated misbehavior. I'm coming. So
that's what we're saying. That there was a prof. So that's what I'm saying. That there is a need for an express definition of that.
Good.
Judicial process.
Exactly.
So
let me. The GBA. Exactly. That's why the GBA opposed the process because they thought that it was a capricious use.
Can I conclude on this? Can I conclude on this? My conclusion is that while we look at the substance of the three things that she's laid out as the reasons why she was removed, and that can be debated and all of that, I am a bit perplexed at her options and when she chooses to use which option. Okay, she has used the media at times to do press conference to tell her story. She has used the judicial route to tell her story. If today we are all saying that she needed to be heard, and she wants an avenue to express what has happened, is the best option the courts. She has held press conferences before, and I ask myself, does this current suit really point to the fact that she believes in the judicial system?
She's always used the judiciary.
No,
she's always
used the media too.
She's used the media too.
The media is
she used the media.
No. The media is to let out the information, but she's always gone to the
but the media
the media doesn't get you anything.
So my point is
So my point is that does not give you any judgment.
So my point is that my point is that if it is the considered view of people around this table, Paul spoke on it, Senor alluded to it, he also mentioned it. If it's the considered view of people around this table that the purpose of this is to get her side of the story told in a way that it wasn't done before, because she opted for an open hearing and it was done in camera because that is not a discretionary decision. It was defined in law. If she's looking for an avenue for things to be heard, why not a press conference? Why not?
She's not looking to tell her story. She's looking for justice.
So my
views of a process that she wants to
running to an African court, running to international court, back and forth.
I think she should go to all the courts there are, because her rights have been trampled upon, and our constitution, our democracy is affected.
So I wish her well. Yes. I wish her well, but I think that we should all agree that this is past.
Great.
No,
let's move forward. Thank you.
Your thoughts on this, then we'll move on. Hello, Franklin.
Around this table, we can go.
Franklin, your thoughts on this quickly, then we'll move to Galamsey and Goodboard.
Well, this is a sad situation.
Very sad.
Really, really sad. I don't know, but I think the lady should probably just give it up. And I think maybe we should start some crowdfunding to support her, because I mean, it's sad to be losing your emolument because you were taken through this ordeal, which ordeal she contributed largely to, by the way. And I think that it's rather sad. I mean, I'm more emotional about it, but I feel that she should also
I'm so sorry, we say you're not emotionally intelligent.
Sorry?
I said I hold your emotions. I'm so sorry, may say you're not emotionally intelligent.
No, well, she's almost fighting to the point that it's as if Charlie's very life depends on this thing. You know, I believe that she should just give it up, and then let's see if we can all help. Because I suspect that, look, if you lose your emolument at this age, it's not easy at all. And I think we should try and support her in one way or the other. But lessons learned, really. Thank you.
Good. We'll take a short break. And when we return, we will look at the other issues. But before that, let me read it from Chris Akume. Chris Akume says, Selam, the Anglos have a saying that the grain of maize will not find favor from a tribunal headed by a cock and hens as members. Please apprise Gertrude of this saying. That's Chris Akume. This one says, from Mohammed in Pusiga, says, Selam, it's not surprising that the committee that sat on the CJ case was not submitted with prima facie determination and the grounds upon which she was removed. Could it be that the committee was actually formed to sort or fulfill the political promise? The government of the day must appreciate that governance is not about wishes, but it's about the rule of law, and time is what is preventing us from knowing the truth.
Prima facie was supposed to be established by the Council of State. So
The president, yeah.
As if it was the committee.
I strongly believe that UP plus the new party and Kyerematen will surely perform better than the MPP in 2028 election. This is from our current observation of falling interest by the grassroots of the MPP towards their party relative to the current excellent performance of the NDC government, I see. Papa Bisu sends that in from Spinktest. Carlos in Dododio says, I believe Alan's party, Movement for Change now, UP, is becoming more formidable and vibrant than some of the older political parties. Just yesterday, they launched their first major outdoor campaign, and since their formation, they have maintained a strong media presence. They are representatives actively engaged in discussions nationwide more consistently than many established parties. If they continue on this path, the UP could soon become Ghana's second major political party after the NDC. They are doing well so far and deserve full recognition in our political space. That's Carlos from Odododio, and it says, I say, God bless you. We take a short break. When we return, we'll look at Galamsey and we'll look at AT. Don't go away.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Okay, Paul. All right, welcome back. This is the big issue on 97.3 City FM. Guys, we are back on. Paul, we are back on. 97.3 City FM. Paul Adumotri, my guest, Senyo Hosi, another guest, Richard Ayangba, and Professor Bewu are my guests. And Franklin Kujo is watching on Zoom, joining us on Zoom and cheering us on Zoom. And you are also home or somewhere watching and following. So this week there's been some discussion around the contribution of the gold board, $8 billion so far, beginning of the year, till date. And the discussion has been around the fact that should we prioritize getting more gold and getting more money at the expense of the environment, or we can do the two at the same time. That's the context of the discussion, really. I'll start from Senyo, who is convener for One Ghana movement. They've been at the forefront of fighting Galamsey, etc. But Senyo, you'd agree that Galamsey is not necessarily mining or gold board. So we can have a gold board doing its work and still fight Galamsey. Can we do that?
Absolutely. The object, and I think that the gold board construct, and I speak as an economic policy analyst here, is one of the most potent economic policy decisions that have been taken, possibly in the last 20 years. Maybe the next very significant thing will be some of the decisions around Kufuor's time were strong and I think should be commended. I commend the construct of the gold board. Obviously, we've been producing gold and moving gold out of this country without much control and accountability. So you realize a huge delta between the gold values that are reported in other countries coming from Ghana versus what we ourselves say we sent. So where did the rest pass? It means it was smuggled. So we've not really benefited from the gold production that we've had in its entirety. I remember during my days looking at solutions to cure effects and its consequential impact on the petroleum prices. We had to start looking into these things. And we flagged it. That was during WAMP's time, together with other treasurers of the bank, about these leakages. So centralizing the procurement and accounting of our gold, I think, is a masterstroke, which should be commended. There's no problem with that. Now on the 8 billion, let's just be careful. I maybe need a bit more guidance. And I have to spend time looking at the Gold Board Act. But what I know practically happens is that Gold Board is effectively a buying agent for the core principal today, which is now become Bank of Ghana. So the 8 billion is not revenue necessarily accruing to Gold Board, but I think maybe they have to look at how that is handled and make sure it really reflects the Gold Board Act itself. So either way, there's some 8 billion that is coming to this country, whether it's sitting on Gold Board's books or it comes to the Bank of Ghana's books. Either way, it's come to the market. And again, it's also not necessarily profit. We should also get that clear because people talk about it and people think that it's some free money that has come from the sky and then we should just go and spend that 8 billion. Let's use the Gold Board money to do this. I hear that come and I laugh. Please, the gold is bought and paid for. If there's any margin to be made, it will only be the difference between the buy and the sell. And as we know, it is very small.
Is gross. 8 billion is gross.
It's a gross.
What's the net?
It's a gross revenue. We have to wait for Gold Board to publish his books. Then you see whether they are making profits or not. So Gold Board's real income can only be the spread or the services that it renders, like assaying and all that. So let's just be careful. There's no special big money sitting with somewhere that just 8 billion
is being generated in foreign exchange.
So it becomes something that sits now on our forex side. We already were always getting gold, from artisanal mining and small-scale mining, and contributing to our FX. This is about the biggest we have ever seen in this country's lifetime from that particular subsector. And the reason is simple. For the first time, government has centralized the acquisition and the trading of that set of gold and minimize the room for smuggling. So I commend Sami Jemfi and his team for the work they've done. Now, relative to the environment, there are two different conversations. You know my voice on Galamsey. Let's not mix the two. The gold, whatever how you process it, belongs to this state. Until the time that you can get to a point where you can properly define it, and that's why the track and trace conversation is important. All right? You must start with the business of making sure at least we get all the forex receipts from the gold production. Otherwise, in Ludo terms, what we call 2-6 and loss is what will be hitting us. The people destroy our environment and then they smuggle our gold in addition. And we don't get benefit of it either way because the gold, most of the forex receipts will now sit in Dubai, UAE, in the DMCCs and all that. What happens to us? We lose twice. The Gold Board situation ensures that even if that should happen, we don't lose twice. At least we can get a part of it to help protect our economy. That is one step. When you centralize the trade, the question is, how do you track your trade? And how then do you use your ability, centralizing the trade, managing defining clearly the supply chain, into trying to make that supply chain responsible? That's the key question we should be asking. So I was very happy when I heard Sami Jemfi speak about the track and trace thing, which I hope they should go to. They claim they'll do sometime next year. I don't know if they'll go to do it in Q1 or Q2. I think he suggested Q1. I think that maybe a bit ambitious, but if he's able to do it, then that'll be great. Now you're able to track and trace. The next thing is, who are you buying from? How can you use your influence as the sole buyer to start controlling the conduct of the people down the chain? That is the influence I want to see Gold Board deliver. So I was happy when they made donations to NIMOS, which our coalition is a part of, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. We have some kind of seat in there, and we are seeing some kind of progress. I am not necessarily happy. I don't think that we are where we want to be, and we have to debate that in this meeting. But we need to separate the conversation of the trade and optimizing Ghana's trade of gold from the conversation around ensuring responsible mining and holding people
what will you,
accountable.
The volumes, as in the metal itself, what will you attribute that to? People think that the Galamsey business appears to be booming, and that is increasing the collection.
Gold production is booming. The cost or the price of gold is also booming.
Yes.
So
We're talking about
production,
metal, yes.
the metal itself is being produced. One thing you should realize is that whether there's a gold board or there's no gold board,
Galamsey will happen.
Galamsey would always happen till you deal with Galamsey itself. Gold board cannot be the reason why, because there's always a buyer for gold. All we have just done now is to make sure that the state itself is a buyer and can actually get the benefit of it. Other than that, take out gold board, it will be another person next.
Yes.
It could be Salom and Co.
Yeah, so
it could be some Indian man, some Chinese. It will be. It's not that it will. It could be. It will be
yes.
an Indian man and some Chinese man somewhere, and then some Italian mafia that we now know who will be the ones paying for the gold, and the gold is gone.
So
the trade side is out. Let's not bring gold board into that. Let's deal with the inability of government to effectively address the Galamsey matter.
Government's, fight, its government's resolve to deal with this problem. Is it satisfactory? How will you rate it?
I will not call it satisfactory. I think that there's too much room to be covered. We saw great intent right from start. We saw some laxity at some period, and we are hearing new rhetoric. But you see, the sweetness of the pudding, I always say, is in the eating. So where are we? You are fighting. Are you fighting or you are pretending to be fighting? They are two different things. If you are really fighting, then we should be winning. So if you are winning, we should see improvements in our water bodies.
But are we seeing improvements?
I'm not seeing improvements in some water bodies. We also see improvements in some other water bodies. So what is happening? Are you just selecting, picking and choosing? If Kwenyakun or whatever it is could get to almost 95,000 stability, when not too long we were screaming and shouting at Ekufuado for 14,000, what should we be doing right now? We should be killing people. You understand? Look at the forest reserves. You have recovered 9. And it is true, they recovered the 9. So there's a color code they give, which was red. It was red under Ekufuado. They came in, and then they moved it to green. But while they went to green, he started going back to orange. What does that mean? The people are going back. You understand? Why is it that we are not able to nib it in the bud? The president said something which was very fundamental. He talked about kingpins, because the boys there cannot go and buy their own excavator. You understand? Agreed. So where are the kingpins after 10 months? Kingpins are already in Bamayo. Where are the kingpins? Because if you've caught 1,400 people, you've not been able to interview them well enough to find whether it is a constitution or it is my brother here, Richard Hiaga, or it is Paul, who is the kingpin. I think that there's a big story, a big problem in this system. And you talk about the wound to me matter. Nobody should bring wound to me matter into the wound to me. We established its culpability long time. And for which reason we petitioned the Narado government.
That matter is in court.
No, hold on. I'm saying that. Let me explain. No, listen. We did, and we petitioned.
Very well.
I'm saying it because I don't want to hear Titus or any NDC man come and say, use good to me as the example, as the kingpin. That is not the kingpin. We approached that kingpin already.
Very well.
So use your kingpin, you have come. You've caught 1,400 people. Where are they?
Very well. So Richard, would you admit that some progress is being made in the fight? Some forest reserves, some forests which were the places for the degradation in the Galamsey have been retrieved, etc. Will you call that progress?
I think so. Your topic should have just been Galamsey. Let's discuss. But this linkage with Gold Board and what revenue they brought is confusing the matter. That's how come Senor talked the balance. He wanted to talk Galamsey.
Yeah. So deal with Galamsey.
So I am saying, commendation to whatever efforts that is being done. That is a naturally occurring position. Any government would want to drive that because an asset we have. They didn't just discover gold when they came to Ghana on January 7th, 2025. And so gold was there. Gold business was there. In fact, until they came in, there was a historic rake-in under the MPP in 2024 in excess of some 4 billion. They beat that sometime in the year, right? So there's always been effort to increase the gains that we get from gold. But the question is, at the expense of what? The environment. And what we see now, and Senor would agree, is that the problem of Galamsey has worsened. Has worsened. Has worsened.
It has.
It has worsened. Senior, it's worsened.
The incentive is higher, and the
You
political
understand?
action required, we are not fully seeing.
Exactly. So
We are seeing some action, but what is required to really break this thing down? No, and it's getting exponential.
and you actually measure that against the rhetoric of the NDC in opposition.
1 week.
You understand? To say that they can definitively deal with this matter, given the chance, in a swoop.
1 week.
But they haven't, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
1 week.
1 week, yes. But even there were instances where they thought that it could be done even in a snap. This was the promise they made to Guardians. And to turn around and have this degeneration under them, it's very concerning. So 9 billion, what billion is not the issue. The issue is that it's our environment being taken for granted only to build some account. And that is a problem. So in other words, looking at it that way, the NDC is only looking at today's games, forgetting that Ghana will live on beyond them. Ghana will live on beyond them. So the problem right now should not be seen in terms of politics, but it should be looked at in terms of the issue of Galamsey I'm talking about. It should be looked at in terms of right and wrong.
Great.
Yes.
What the government is engaged in, standing by, looking on whilst our environment is devastated in this manner. For the president himself to appear complicit in aiding this whole Galamsey with his...
How?
You listen. To appear, I haven't finished, you say how. To appear complicit, okay, in aiding Galamsey by saying that, after all, it's our land that is being destroyed. If I am a Galamseyer, that is an encouragement. That
No.
Listen. Insofar as I can find gold, the president will buy it. And if you have created a market to buy something, and I am engaged in producing, you're fighting the same market.
So
and
the market, they shouldn't be happy in the market.
It's a pretentious fight.
No, it's not.
Hold on. It's a pretentious fight. Hold on. Syria. You are going to speak last. It's a pretentious fight that they are mounting. No wonder why you see the degeneration. Because it's on one hand standing at the top of the stream, steering it and creating debris in the water, and come downstream and say, who is creating the mess that is resulting in the debris? Meanwhile, he's the one over there buying the gold and sitting here saying he's fighting Galamsey. So the problem should be the fight against Galamsey under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is worsened. Okay, the work that my brother Sami is doing there at Gold, let's separate that from that. Exactly. Somehow it is benefiting from the gold, right? But he's doing his work over there. But let's talk about how
there's more we have to do.
Let's talk about it that the president has given up on the fight on Galamsey because he thinks that the country should benefit from illegal gold. That is a problem. It's a bad incentive, and we should discourage it.
Very well.
I think I would want to start right from where he left off and want to state emphatically that the president has not given up on the fight against Galamsey. You don't see a president who has given up on a fight. Establishing permanent military bases to cure what Senor raised.
That is false.
Where we went in to sack all the people, reclaim forests that we couldn't touch at the time we came in, and then realize that they are coming back. And we feel that even though it's expensive to keep troops there, let's keep them as long as we can to reclaim the environment. That is certainly not a president that has given up.
But he talked about the
I'm coming. That is not a president that has given up. A president who has set up NIMOS with all these other groups involved, and we are seeing the actions, is not a president that has given up.
We saw Vanguard, we saw Galamsey, we saw all of that too.
Good, and that is why we want to look at it differently. And we're looking at it differently by saying that, look, we go in, we come back, and then the people go back. So why don't we find a more permanent solution? The government has come out with a 5-pronged approach. That is that let's continue to have a continuous engagement, give alternative livelihood to these people so they don't go back, because he has consistently mentioned that the people who are the culprits or the real culprits are not these younger brothers who are there.
Yeah,
just
so
because
the real
it is the reason why.
Who are they buying the
It
gold
is
from?
the reason why he's saying that. Look, let's find something for these 4 million plus people who are depending on this, which is not the right way, and look for the kingpins.
Titles.
Finding the kingpins is the biggest problem that we have.
But we were selling the gold.
So
Bringing the gold.
if it was very easy.
No, hold on, title. Look, the gold board is buying gold.
Gold board is not buying the gold board. Please let me answer.
As whether the license people will go and collect somewhere,
they don't know. So for Richard to say that you can use the buying of the gold to find the kingpin, that is not possible in this current dispensation.
You are arresting people at the pits.
Yeah, so
You can interview them.
You interrogate them.
People
and they'll
on
tell
them.
you
Exactly.
You can find and what your ways.
As we
Let's
speak
talk.
today-
But their own people are also inside.
As we
His
speak-
own people are inside.
Senor, as we
The
speak
two of you
today-
need to fix this problem.
As we speak
Who
today,
is the
over
government? It's their responsibility.
1,200.
And President Mahama says
As we
that it is the
speak-
president's problem.
Richard, it's us.
It's the
As we
president
speak
that must solve
today, over 1,200 excavators are impounded, not allowed out
Where are the owners?
out
you
of
find
the
the
port.
owners?
And that is a process ongoing. We
Tell
know. No,
us,
if it
tell
was,
us.
wait, Senor,
Senor, look,
I
tell
can
me,
look. I am as
You said 1
passionate.
week. You said 1 week.
I am
Titus
as
didn't say that.
I am.
He didn't
I am.
say
I
this
am
one.
as
Abadisi is
passionate.
defending. He didn't say.
I am as passionate about Galamsey and its devastating effects as Senor is because I am a medical
Yeah, medical,
doctor.
you see those
Thank
things.
you.
I am a gynecologist. Just yesterday.
You joined us. He was with us.
I was with them.
He was with us. Part of the coalition.
Just yesterday, I was at a conference in Tema where I spoke to people who are treating fertility about the impact of Galamsey on reducing fertility in the country. Aside people delivering abnormal babies, there is reduction in fertility.
So it's existential.
So this is something that is threatening our very existence, and all of us must fight it.
Very well.
Thank you.
What we should
But
not,
the narrative does not reflect that.
what we should not entertain is this blame game. Do this, do that.
I agree.
To
No,
brand,
nobody is blaming
I'm
anybody.
coming. Let me finish, Richard.
Yeah.
To
Nobody is
brand
blaming anybody.
His Excellency that with all this his effort, he is not. He has given up on the fight of Galamsey.
That's not
It is completely
But
not
he
acceptable.
said the
And
license-
no, please.
He needs 10 billion.
Please.
Hold on.
I think to be fair to me, at least you allow me to land and also make just a brief comment on Go Board because we said that everybody has had a point. I have not said that. So I'm just saying that we have seen a government that is determined to fight Galamsey. It is not an easy task. Finding these kingpins, we'll all have to work together to find them. We are picking up intelligence. We are impounding. We just celebrate the little successes we have while we work towards the big one because we all know this is an existential threat. So now Go Board. I think that as previously stated, we should not have linked these two. The good that Go Board has done needs to be celebrated, and I am sad that people would deliberately decide to have what we will call selective amnesia, forget where we've come from, forget all the good that Go Board has done. Look, we had a situation where in this country, a report from 2022.
Nobody is accusing Go Board. Galamsey is the matter.
A report states that there was a disparity in our gold export.
Yes.
Let me just read it to you, right? From Reuters, it says that a report published on the 11th of June 2025, a trade gap of 229 metric tons of gold, worth $11.4 billion US dollars. Between, and this is a gap which is representing smuggled gold. Smuggled gold from 2019 to 2023.
Gold Board is dealing with that now.
Yes. Gold Board is an innovative creation.
It's the best.
And I sitting here, I feel very proud that I sat through that night to pass the Gold Board when our colleagues walked out. So I'm just saying that Gold Board is doing well. We commend them, making sure that we don't suffer that double jeopardy that you've talked about. But we are getting money from there. They are supporting NIMOS. They are supporting the fight. Let everybody know that Galamsey is existential.
Very well.
You should not
So
play
you're
politics with
talking
it.
about it.
I am talking about it. Thank you.
We are saying that the president is
No, he wants to talk about it. Let's go to
I beg you. And it's very important for Ghana. I beg you in the name of God. I want to ask the two political parties.
Whether they are committed.
No. Will you be willing to sign a joint pact? So we go out there because you've been creating. Let me finish. No. I beg, I need a part. Please let me finish. I beg you. Let Will the two of you be willing to come on one round table? So we have a consensus on this.
Yes.
The big problem we have had fighting this thing is that you guys keep doing playing game. When he is in office, you go out there and then you talk. I said, will you be willing to?
Of course. The Democratic Party, Akufo-Addo recommended that. It's the NDC. Akufo-Addo recommended that.
Just 1 second on Galamsey. Can I do 1 second? One second on Galamsey.
Akufo-Addo
Yeah,
recommended
but on Galamsey, just one. Richard, sorry. Sorry. On Galamsey, just one thing. Obviously, Galamsey was a problem when Akufo-Addo became president in 2017. And the record shows that in March 2017, he started working on it. He initiated a ban on small-scale mining. The Galamsey problem in 2025 is obviously worse than it was in 2017. Where is the ban on small-scale mining? Okay, let's move on.
When we say it's worse, we should give indicators.
You don't have a proof. Fair enough.
I disagree because if you look at the number of licenses that have been granted,
We cannot say this way. If you look at the forest, if you are comparing last year to this year, that's fine. 2017, that's fine. Thank you.
You have to give us 5
Let's talk scientifically. Let's talk about let's give data.
So the policy on the floor,
There's something very dangerous happening in the AT Telesell matter that we have to be interested in.
A minute and a half.
Yes, a minute and a half. The point is that there is very little transparency in this problem, and the minister must come better. We are being told that Telesell is taking over 80, something like that. The record shows that Telesell is a company with a debt of about 400 million. 80 is a company with a debt of about 200 million. If these figures are true, then it means that the company with the bigger debt is being asked to take over the company with the smaller debt. Then there's also the issue of a $150 million that had been pledged by an investor called Rectron to invest in 80. Which, according to the minister, had been subjected to a KPMG analysis. That KPMG analysis is yet to come out, or it hasn't come out, or only the minister knows, but he doesn't tell anyone what KPMG said. And then he seems to be proceeding along a certain policy line without being really transparent to even the industry, to Parliament, and to anyone else. Because he came to announce on a certain date, 3rd September or so, that KPMG were going to assess the bid of a company that is willing to invest in 80. He has not come back to say what KPMG said. And then there's concerns that about thousands of jobs may be lost if this process is occasioned. And that's really what is important. I think over the next week, we'll have a bit more detail on this matter. But the important thing is that no minister for Ghana who has been elected should make any policy decision in a sensitive sector like telecoms that would occasion job losses. It should never happen. No minister, from what we are seeing, it looks like that's why the minister is taking the matter.
Says that they have not taken over 80.
Yes,
they said they have not. They were only asked by NCA to provide roaming services.
There are Bloomberg stories that said that.
They have only been asked by NCA to provide roaming services because ATC has shut the cells of 80. So 80 people.
All that is correct. All that is correct.
So
they're
not
taking over. Not hearing about the KPMG report.
So why are we not hearing about the report?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That the minister seems to have been shifting the goalpost on this report.
Very well.
Yes,
good. Let me hear Franklin.
We'll get more information on this one.
We'll do that. Franklin, you have the final word on this.
On this one,
Franklin,
let me just say that
I know you are interested in the 80 and all of that. Yes.
Oh, well, let me just say that on Galamsey, I think we need resources to go to the fight as well. We cannot be making this handsome windfall and then leave the fights to the likes of Boa, who seems to be begging corporate entities. There's money, and we need to fight this thing head. I think on the 80 matter, I don't know why. I don't understand. Ministers must sometimes stay back and allow the regulators to do their work. This whole thing where serious policy must be at the beck and call of a minister sometimes reeks of a bit of I don't know. It's like playground politics. Look, put the matters there. Let's all discuss it. and let's see the end of it. Anyway, look. By the way, the two companies are owing, and I think they've been badly run. Frankly, I don't even care whether they leave the scene or not. But seriously speaking, this matter, as Paul said, we should see the end of it by next week. Thank you.
Very well. Thanks so much for Franklin. This is how we conclude today's edition of the program. We'll come back.
The president hasn't given up on the fight.
Yes.
I expect the president to do more. He needs to deliver us our kingpins.
Very well.
He needs to make himself available when we call on them for us to have a national pact,
Very well.
cross-political pact to campaign and fight this Galamsey.
This is how we conclude today's edition of the program. Thank you so much for doing the viewing and the listening. See you same time next week.
The word give up is used.